Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Director Watch, an AwardsWatch podcast that attempts to get inside the mind of cinema's greatest auteurs, explore what drives them, and maybe we go on a few unrelated tangents along the way. I'm Ryan McQuade, executive editor here at AwardsWatch, and joining me, as always, is my ride or die co-host, Jay Ledbetter.
And Ryan, I got one thing on my mind only right now.
Only one thing?
I want to rob.
Ooh.
So let's do it. Let's do it.
Right.
We're going to talk the Bling Ring.
Well, I can't condone
anything
that could get us in trouble with the law on this podcast. I don't have a lot of bail money for you. Trying to save money. So could you I'm going to look the other way while you do whatever you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, or maybe our guest today can help you out with some bail money. I don't know. I don't know her situation.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Should I do the whole podcast with the same voice? Should I do it with the Emma Watson voice?
I knew you were going to ask this. Telepathically, I knew in my bones you were going to ask this.
We got a 15-minute conversation on the Emma Watson accent in this that we got to get to.
Answer is an emphatic no, from just to help the listeners, to help me, our guest today, and even your own sanity.
Her accent is as extreme in this as Julianne Moore's in May, December. It is emphatic.
That is probably the first and last time anyone will compare Julianne Moore and Emma Watson ever in the history of podcasts.
Well,
so good job.
You're welcome, audience.
Joining us today, you last heard her on our Dark Waters episode back on, speaking of Julianne Moore, a great film on our Todd Haynes movie series. It's our good friend, Nicole Ackman. Welcome back, Nicole, to Director Watch.
Thank you very much. I'm so excited to be here and so excited to talk about this movie and give my defense of Emma Watson's accent.
Is this like the most polar opposite movie we could have had Nicole on for after Dark Waters?
They're both making statements about the downfall of American culture.
They're just doing it in completely different ways.
Yep,
I think
opposite ways.
Yeah,
very much.
And I love them both.
We're here to talk about Sofia Coppola's film, The Bling Ring, which is celebrating. It's been out 11 years now, so this is the 11-year anniversary. We're gonna do
the most important anniversary
is the 11th year.
You
remember when the Oscars celebrated the 18th anniversary of Pulp Fiction or whatever a couple of years ago or something bullshit like that, and we were just like, that's not a real thing. So if they can do that, we're gonna do the 11th year anniversary. That's when you hit double digits beyond the 1 and the 0.
I was like, hold on.
Nicole, I want to ask you,
Yes.
our friend, our esteemed guest here, before we talk about The Bling Ring, your relationship with Sofia Coppola as a director, as an artist, as someone who has been making movies now for 25 years, which is pretty great. That's a real anniversary out there, folks.
Yeah.
She's been making movies for 25 years. I'm curious about your relationship with her as a director when you first saw her movies. What are some of your favorite movies that she's made? Some of the things that you love about her. Maybe some of the things that maybe you don't love about her and you kind of struggle with a little bit too. We all have things that we love or hate about maybe some of our favorite directors. So what do you think about Coppola as a writer-director?
Yeah, I really love Sofia Coppola. She was one of the first directors when I was in high school that I was really aware of as a director, and that I really sought out. I'll admit I've not seen all of her movies, and there's a couple on the rocks that I don't think work.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I'm not a big fan of that one. But for the most part, what I really love Sofia Coppola doing is period pieces. Obviously, I was introduced to her work through Marie Antoinette. Did not watch it when it came out because I would have been in 6th grade. Watched it when I hit high school. And Marie Antoinette was also one of the first movies that I was like, wow, this is what cinema could be. Because I think it's such a fascinating take on the biopic, and I a firm defender of that movie. I know that some people don't like it, but I think it's brilliant. I think the way that Sofia Coppola portrays womanhood is really interesting. The way that she portrays isolation, the way that she deals with celebrity, is really interesting. And because I'm interested in all those themes, I also obviously really love Priscilla. I am one of Priscilla's bigger fans, probably. I also really love The Beguiled. Like Southern Gothic is so my thing, so that's one that I also really like from her. And then I really like The Bling Ring because I think that The Bling Ring is such a good period piece, even though it's not very, distant history. And I think the way that she captures the era is awesome. But I think that I like a lot of her individual movies, but what I like best about Sofia Coppola is what it feels like her catalog says whenever you look at the movies in conversation with each other.
Yeah. It's what we've been kind of discovering over the, or
Hmm.
rediscovering. It's not like it's discovery. We've seen all these movies.
Yeah.
Um, Rediscovering when you kind of watch them all together rather than watching them throughout the years, right, Jay? Because like
Yeah.
we talked about the first four films, they feel like this clearly definitive personal chapter, starting with Virgin Suicides, Lost in Translation, Marie Antoinette, and then Somewhere last week,
Yeah.
which we really love, and we've loved all those films leading up to this. So this feels like we kind of teased last week, like a shift
Hmm.
in her kind of storytelling for a little bit until I think what most people believe is sort of she kind of got back to that with either On the Rocks or definitely with Priscilla that came out this past year. So yeah, I mean she's one of the most fascinating and talked about modern female directors or directors in general of her generation. So Nicole, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Okay.
You said you love the Bling Ring,
I do.
and why do you love the Bling Ring so much?
Yeah. The Bling Ring is actually my preferred 2013 crime film with a yellow poster.
Mm, I
Um
think I know what you're talking about.
yes, I am.
We'll talk about it.
Uh but no, I think the Bling Ring is so interesting, and part of what makes me so interested in it is that so much of it is about the American obsession with celebrity
Hmm.
and overconsumption, which I think is particularly interesting coming from a Coppola, coming from someone who grew up sort of exposed to this world. And I think the way that it captures its time period is so crazy. Like the way that watching it, whenever I rewatched it for this, really took me back to that time when the word of Teen Vogue was like the word of God. And, the music and the fashions and even just like the rhetoric of the time. I think that as far as like movies about groups of teenagers go, this one is really interesting in that it's obviously in some ways dealing with something that's kind of dark. Like this is a group of criminals, and who she subtly shows us are dealing with issues with their families, issues, with relationships or in with their peers, that sort of manifest in this way. But at the same time, it feels sort of more like a teen rom-com for most of it. And I think that the costume and production design are incredible. The use of like actual footage of celebrities in this time period is great. And I love this screenplay. I think it's so fun. I think there's so many really fun lines in this. And I think that it also was such a fascinating choice for Emma Watson to do at this point in her career. It really showed that she was not content to stay in sort of the niche that people were trying, I think, to put her into. And, obviously there's a lot of talk about the accent, about her performance, but I will say if you watch any of the reality TV show that the girl that her character is based on did after she got out of jail, she's actually doing a very good impression of her. Like it feels overly vapid at times, I think, but that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think about Emma Watson saying, I want to rob like at least 3 times a day. Uh,
J-Dog, this is a
Yes,
movie
sir.
that I think for the first time, maybe on the show's history, and I could be wrong, I could be speaking out of turn,
Yeah, I'm very interested in what you're about to say.
that we aren't going to agree maybe with the guest here today. And I
Is
think we're
that
going to, I
true?
don't think that we've had a guest on that hasn't either maybe,
Depends on the definition of agree, I suppose.
yeah, I guess so. Because I don't think you're on the wavelength of Nicole and absolutely loving this movie. And I'm kind of curious as to what your thoughts are on the Bling Ring because you did a rewatch. This is a rewatch.
Yep.
Put in the time. He's reading the books. He's doing
Yep.
his thing. He always does. He's doing his research. So J Dog, coming off a masterpiece, as you called it last week with Somewhere.
I think I called it a near masterpiece.
I think he's no.
Yeah.
Now you're no, don't scale it
he's
back.
trying to take it back.
I got to go back and listen to the
You also
episode.
said it might be.
I love that film.
You also said it might be her best movie.
I did.
Yeah. So let's jump to the Bling Ring. A couple of years later. What are your thoughts on this one, buddy?
Oh, how this movie wrestles inside of me. It's
That almost sounded like you were about to go Irish there for a second. Oh,
Oh,
how this
movie
film it wrestles
wrestles.
inside of me.
It's a weird one because I do feel like it's very predictive. I feel like it's pretty insightful, and I also feel like it lacks any sort of like the verve that I think it's going for. I think it never attains. Like the pop sensibility of it, I think is largely a failure. And so it's a movie that as I'm watching it, I'm kind of like, man, this is not hitting. But then when I think back on it, I'm like, I mean, the way that it's dealing with social media, I think is very insightful and forward thinking and really kind of lays the groundwork in some ways for what the world is going to look like 10 years from when this movie came out, or even 6-7 years from when this movie came out. And I think that's impressive. I do think there's an actor problem in this movie across the board. I think a cast problem, which we can talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, none of these people really, none of the main crew have really gone on to do extraordinary things, and I think there's a reason for that. Whatever. I'm sorry, I'm being mean, but
hang on, agents. Don't stand by the phone for them real quick.
But
I get what you're saying, though.
It's a film I respect a lot because I think it has some interesting stuff to say, but I don't enjoy watching it. And I think maybe it is that vapid nature to everything that I find dull, where really it's kind of the point of it. But this is a movie where at some points I am like, all right, I get it. Okay, I understand. Because, the second half of the film, as insightful as I think it is at one kind of particular thing, two particular things, it's kind of like, oh, and then there's another house, and then there's another house, and then there's another house. And also there's one more house after that. So for a movie that is only an hour and a half long, it doesn't breeze by like I wish it would. And it's just not, to me, it lacks kind of the, it's really interesting. I think this is her, I would say this and Marie Antoinette, I guess, are her loudest movies to date. And this one, I think, in its desire to kind of be like a straightforward loud movie, where Marie Antoinette has a really interesting, clever bent to it, this being a more straightforward loud movie makes it less watchable, weirdly, to me, than even some of her slower films. Like Somewhere is such a quiet movie that every shot lasts 7 seconds longer than you think it should. And meanwhile, that one for me is like, oh, I'm being enveloped by this thing, and it just breezes by for me. But this one, Not exactly the case. It's an interesting movie, though. We'll have a lot to talk about.
Oh, so I hadn't seen this one in a long time. Just because this was one of those. Yeah, I saw it. I think when it came out in theaters, or it was maybe a home release, and I watched it, and I was like, it's one of those. Weirdly enough, where I was like, yeah, I know what this is about. Sort of lived through this. I know this story. It's one of those too where it's like, yeah, it's so recent. How much can you really like tap into that isn't going to be like literally ripped out of the front pages of things that you just saw like a week ago. And also, it's like Sofia Coppola, so it's like, of course, I'm going to go see the next Sofia Coppola movie. Are you mad? Like, there's no way I'm not going to. And I don't know. Like, I mean, the cast was virtually unknowns, but it wasn't like one of those things where it was post Harry Potter. So it was like, this is Emma Watson sort of trying to do different things, and Radcliffe have been sort of doing that as well throughout his career, and
It totally makes sense for Emma Watson.
Rupert
to
Grint's
do
like,
this.
like out, like this is her. It's a way to show her chops outside of just the wand and the cloak. You know what I mean? And
I
she had done
will,
Perks of Being a Wallflower, and I thought that was
yeah.
okay. So I was like, I'm
I will
sold on the
say
idea of it. Yeah, sorry, Nicole. Go ahead.
Taissa Farmiga was also an up and coming actress at this time because she'd
Yeah.
just come off of her first season of American Horror
Yeah,
Story. And I remember in this time she was like people thought she was going to be like the next big it girl for a while.
yeah.
Obviously it didn't pan out.
No,
But
she's done like a bunch of TV stuff and minor roles,
yeah.
and she's in those nun movies,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and those are none of your business. Anyway, sorry.
Those Farmigas they're just killing that Conjuring universe.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and didn't she like play? Isn't she playing like a younger version of her sister in those movies? I think, or
Probably.
something like
Gotta
that.
I
admit,
think so.
haven't seen the nuns.
Well,
Yeah.
Jay,
Have not
I
made it
am
to that
sorry
yet.
to admit,
uh,
have
Jay,
not gone to church in
it's
that
a real,
regard.
it's a real problem I have with you. You say you want to be a completist, but you're not really completing the franchise. Well, then you have to watch like Annabelle, don't you? Have you seen the Annabelle movies?
The Curse of La Llorona, isn't that a
Yeah,
Conjuring film
I
as
think
well?
is that a Conjuring
Hmm.
movie? Yeah,
I believe so.
Maybe.
man, that thing's like a kraken. It's got tentacles everywhere. That franchise. Anyway,
James Wan just making money hand over fist.
he's not sleeping under a bridge. He's got all that mortgage paid off. Okay, so I watched this movie. I thought it was good at the time. Thought it was fine. Kind of like sort of in and out. This happens, I think, to a lot of sometimes with some of my favorite directors. I go see a movie because I have to. You know what I mean?
Little homework?
Little homework. You know what felt like that at the time? Even though I was a little excited, I was very excited for it. But by the time it had come out and the reviews were so mixed and everything, Inherent Vice is a perfect example of that, Jay. At the
That
time,
is
where
insane. No,
it,
that movie
no, it
was
was.
not homework.
It was no. I felt like the insane negative reactions and everything. I was like, oh, I don't know. Am I gonna? And then I love that movie. So it's like, it's not. Come on now.
Well, that's how I felt about The Beguiled, which I still haven't seen.
That's
So
okay. Well, there you go.
My
And so you kind of put
God.
it off a little bit, or maybe you put something off from, a director that you love, and everything. And so I hadn't rewatched this movie in a while because I mostly just thought like, yeah, I got enough out of that. The first go around, it's not really anything. And there's also too, I think this watch confirmed a lot of what I thought initially when I first watched this movie, which I think that this is her least personal film that she's made. And I think that especially the conversation we had last week, Jay, about Somewhere and how that ties in a lot of maybe thoughts about her childhood as well as also her as a mother and a parent and everything going on, Lost in Translations, a lot of that. Weirdly
I think
enough,
you might just be speaking to the tone of the movie too. This is just not as heart on its sleeve as
yeah, it's not. It's for even it being.
which doesn't necessarily make it less personal. It's just a
I
shift in style.
no, I think it's less personal. At least for me. And I mean, you know, Nicole.
She's going to be on next week. We'll ask her.
Yeah, we'll ask her next week.
Yeah.
She's gonna be on the Beguiled episode of all the random episodes to be on. But no, I just watching, you know, even like Virgin Suicides or Marie Antoinette, there's stylistic choices and clear, succinct vision. I think this is what Jay's talking about, where you can tell that she had an urgency to say something about the subject matter. And I do believe that there is that, at least a little bit here. But in terms of like having a personal, like, you know, like Nicole had stated, where like this is a movie made by Sofia Coppola, so obviously it being a commentary about the future of the industry and the places that she's been a part of for such a long time is a very interesting perspective to have going into this movie. That being said, when I watch this movie, I don't particularly think that she is actually really saying anything particular or condemning, or, you know, I think it's mostly just you as an audience have to figure that out. And I think in the past, especially with like Virgin Suicides, she has done a great job of she's can show you that, but she's also clearly tipping her hand a little bit more. And I don't think that this movie does that. I think also this movie,
I think Somewhere is very much not a movie that lays the tracks for you.
No. And I think, I gotta say, Jay talked about this being just 90 minutes. I did feel the length of this movie. And maybe that is the point, but I felt at a certain point, I'm like, wow, I'm 45 minutes into this. I actually don't know anything about these characters. I don't know anything about this.
Very thinly drawn.
I don't know anything about these people. I understand what they're doing. It almost kind of is like, good on them for being able to get away with this.
But it is
kind of
like,
time.
Are the
like,
characters being thinly drawn part of the point, where all they're trying to do is
there's not much to
project some sort of false, like just like sketch of this life of glamour that is not real, where they're just sort of shells of human beings in reality?
I mean, like,
something to be said for that.
There is something to be said about that, but then also too, the movie wants to have it. I think.
Also, I would like to have good characters.
Yeah, I think that this is also a movie, and like, you can take liberties with a story. This is not this is not a documentary. You know, there is a documentary about this, and if you actually have watched that documentary, it's a pretty damn good documentary.
Yeah, it is.
I would say, and it has a sense of. It has a sense of threat and a sense of real looking at the situation and examining it and understanding, like, there's a centralized problem here. And there's these characters are laid out. These people are laid out to where you know who they are, you understand, and you can empathize with them if you want to, but you don't have to if you don't want to. But in the documentary, I think it's much more laid out, the sort of humanity behind the act here of not just being, you know, the phrase, you know, we rob or whatever, you know, it is. And
I mean, I don't think this is something that this movie is interested in.
No, but I think that
but doing different things. But
again, if you're going to make I think that ultimately she might not have been the right person to make this movie, because this feels like somebody of this generation of filmmakers should have probably have made it. It felt like my parents making this movie rather than Sofia Coppola making this movie.
See, and you know what, Ryan, to that point, I will say the whole time I was watching this movie, I was like, there's another movie I wish I was watching right now. And then lo and behold, when this finished on Max and they did suggested to watch next, there it was. Ryan, you know what I'm talking about?
I think I do, but Jay, why don't you go on ahead and say it?
Spring Breakers, baby.
Oh, Spring Breakers.
I mean,
I feel like you're not wrong. There's a bunch of movies that you could.
I was thinking about that the whole time I was watching this movie.
Well, I was thinking about Spring Breakers a little bit, though I'm not like.
And then I went and
I haven't
watched
seen
scenes of Spring Breakers. I didn't realize how much my wife reviles Spring
that
Breakers.
movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the greatest.
Yeah.
I turned it on and she was like, "Oh, you've seen this?" And
That is another movie about American excess.
it is
in that
very
time
much in
period,
the same
that's for sure.
vein of this film. I would say it's a little more maximalist.
Oh,
than,
you think?
This
Yeah,
this
a
film,
little
although I
bit,
called it
a little bit.
this is what the weird thing about that is this is probably Sofia Coppola's second most maximalist movie.
Yeah,
And then Spring Breakers is like makes this look like
that
a
makes
Frederick
Yeah.
Wiseman film or something.
yeah, exactly. But no,
I
I
do
just
think
oh,
though,
yeah, go ahead, Nicole.
speaking to, Sofia Coppola being the one to make it, I think what's kind of crazy and why it had to come from someone established and someone not sort of coming up at the time is that like they were filming in some of these celebrities' actual houses.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like Kirsten Dunst appears in the
Shout
film.
out Kirsten in for about 7 seconds.
Yep.
She's
And like
drinking
who
that
has
lovely
Sofia
gin and
Coppola
tonic or whatever in the
could have
club.
gotten her to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that like what this does so well is make a commentary not just on these kids and on the way that they're trying to emulate this lifestyle and their obsession with the gossip sites and the social media and whatever, but there's also this like commentary behind it on these celebrities and how dumb they are, really. The fact that like there is that element of like, okay, well, if they were leaving the house unlocked, like not saying they deserve to get robbed, but is that not kind of their fault? Um and the way that there's this implication that like they don't notice that things are missing, at least
Well, how
for
could they? There's so
Exactly.
much stuff.
And
There's
there's
so
But they
much.
just
Yeah,
steal,
it's a
they
movie about
steal the wrong
excess.
stuff.
Yeah.
and there's this
You
one
take the stuff at the bottom of the pile.
exchange where like one of the earlier times that they go to somebody's house, Mark is like, she has so much stuff. And Rebecca says, I know, it's amazing. And I think that like that's really interesting because it definitely centers, and I feel like that was the mindset in 2008, 2009, even up until more recently, of like, particularly whenever it came to fashion and things like that, of like accumulating more and more stuff.
This was
And
a
I think
very
that, like,
garish time in
it
Yeah.
was.
America. Just
And I think
excess.
as someone who
This was
in
this
eighth
was like
grade at this
MTV
time,
Cribs
it
and
was.
all that
Like,
stuff.
this was the time where, like, I was on
Pimp
those
My
gossip
Ride.
sites. I was reading Teen Vogue and had to go to the bookstore every time a new edition came out. And I think the way that she recreates that world, which it's funny because, like, obviously when this was made, it was only like 5 years after these were happening. But the world of 2013 in pop culture was very different from the world of
Mhm.
2008.
Yeah.
Partially because of the way that the internet had already evolved, but like also because this all takes place at that time where like Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan and all of those people are just at their like peak and are about to fall.
Yeah.
And I think that it does such a good job of capturing what that culture looked like, particularly for young girls and the way
Yeah.
that they were indoctrinated into this mindset.
Yeah.
And I also, one of my other favorite things, though, like talking about character building, is that we really don't get that much of Mark's character, but I think that's the point, is that he really is a blank slate. And
But he's also
unfortunately,
like the main character, though. Weirdly enough,
right.
the
But
way
so
that the
when he
film like sort of focuses on him from
when
like
he
the get-go.
falls
It just
in
requires
with
an actor with a
Rebecca,
little more
well, yeah,
something.
there's that.
Yeah.
But I think it makes sense that when he falls in with Rebecca and she's like, let's go rob these houses, he has nothing going for him,
Yeah.
no sense of like who he is, so he just clings on to her.
One of my favorite
Whereas-
scenes in the movie is when
Yeah.
he's in like where you're like, oh, he's the poor one. And he's just like in that
Yes.
back room and he has this chest
Yep.
full of goodies and he just like puts it in the corner
Yep.
of this room where it's like, it's not actually about the stuff. It's
Yeah.
about one, trying to find a group of people that accept me, and two, just like
Yeah.
the thrill of this stuff and relating to
Yeah.
this world that is completely unattainable to me. So
And you
that's
have
interesting.
the sense that he is this outsider in this world, you know. I
Hmm.
think that the shot where we first see him going to the school is actually really telling because it's she uses like a shaky hand camera to follow him into the school, and it almost gives this sense of like he is headed into a war zone, which I imagine is what a high school in that area would feel like to someone whose family is even upper middle class.
Well, I would
And I
also
think
even
that
feel like that for him too, and being a kid that's brand new, and also
yeah.
it's very much hinted at that he is going to be out of place because even if it's 2008, there's still
Mhm.
qualms from people about
This is the
being.
post Mean Girls world we're
Yeah, but
living
it's
in
still,
right here.
but
Yeah.
still, it's a tough terrain to navigate through for somebody that's, LGBTQ and trying to
Mhm.
find a place of acceptance. So from that standpoint, I think the film does a good job. It's sort of
And
not making him seem as like it almost established him as he's not a threat to these girls. They're
mhm.
willing to accept him in there,
Yep.
and he's looking upon really as he's watching them all unfold later on.
Yep. And you do see that like every time he tries to assert some agency,
Yeah,
they immediately shoot him down
or just shut
because
down.
he's just there to help them find where these houses are. Apparently he's the only one who's good with Google.
Yeah,
Um
anyone that, yeah, again, like,
every time she's like, "Can you find
Wait,
out
how are
where
you gonna
Miranda Kerr's
figure that
house
out?
is?"
yeah, not like a
Google.com.
fucking phone. Like it's,
Yeah.
it's a
But
little,
I do think that there's something to be said for the idea of like Sofia Coppola. I think maybe what her angle on this is she went to high school outside of LA from what
hmm
I remember reading in like a smaller town, but then obviously has these family ties to this industry. And I wonder if there is some element of her walking into a, fast celebrity culture. Obviously, it wasn't this time period, but, even the 90s already had this sort of beginning of this consumerism. Um, and this idea of like trying to figure out like how does that work? And obviously Mark takes a not great approach to it. But
yeah.
I do think the one character that we do get built decently well is the character of Nikki that Emma Watson plays, because we get these like fascinating glimpses at her home life. Um,
Nicole, you pronounced that wrong. It's fascinating.
Fascinating.
Fascinating. And like when her mom, Leslie Mann, is like, okay, guys, so our homeschooling is based on The Secret.
Yeah,
Um,
that was good. Leslie Mann is good in this.
she's so good in this. And like when she yells to them,
You don't
time for
think
your
she's good in this? I'm a
Adderall.
big Leslie Mann.
I
I'm a
like,
man
I
man.
like, I like Leslie Mann. I felt that tonally speaking, these scenes and one are completely just eye melting. Like I thought that they, in contrast to the night scenes, are like a lifetime movie being transformed in front of my eyes. This is one of the weaker films of Sofia Coppola in terms of a visual aesthetic that I've seen so far. And those scenes of just being like this bland I mean, I know it's the point of the setting and location, but the lighting in that house is so bad, especially
It
when they're
is supposed
sitting
to
in the
give
couch.
a. Yeah, I think
It's
it's effective in that it's supposed to give
I
this like
don't
garish hue to
I think that it's
everything.
I think that like for me, I was watching, I was like, Jesus Christ, can we get out of this room? Like it's blinding my eyes. And yeah, I think like Leslie Mann like is doing her Amy Poehler from Mean Girls version of like, homeschool mom. And it does the best, but I feel like the problem with this movie is it's like it's a much more interesting film to talk about for me with all you than actually watching it. Because I think watching it is
I don't
repetitive.
love watching this movie. I
Yeah,
agree
it's
with
like this
you,
is a
Ryan.
very repetitive thing. And Nicole, I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole too much tonight, folks. But you did bring it up earlier of
Yeah.
a movie that also came out this year, right?
Mhm.
That's 3 hours long. That's The Wolf of Wall Street.
It is almost
And
exactly 2 times longer than
it's
this
two times
movie.
as long as that movie. And that movie
Thought it
is
would never end.
bigger. And I think that movie doesn't leave any fruit on the vine into what it's trying to say, what it's trying to do. And I think that this movie does. And I think the minimalist approach.
Some might argue it starts eating the vine itself.
It could, and I think that's.
No, I love that movie.
And yet
I love
men
that movie.
still misunderstood it.
No, well, I think that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
it's the Fight Club of the 2010s.
Yeah, that's what we've talked about for years. So it's like
Yeah.
I think it's a very good movie, and yet people don't understand that this is a cautionary tale being told by Scorsese
Jordan
and
Belfort on their dorm room walls.
It's like no. But I mean, it's no different than like, okay, so did you watch Goodfellas and think that being a gangster is pretty cool for the first 20 years of your life?
It does look pretty cool. If you turn that thing off halfway,
you're like,
sick.
Oh, this is a good movie. Then by the end of it, like
it's the people who watched American Psycho and were like, man.
Yes.
I want to work in finance in New York City.
No,
and immediately rush to go get their business.
But that doesn't, I think, hurt the quality of the film. That's just outside perspective, outside opinions, outside people not understanding the right thing.
Yeah, the same could be said of The Matrix and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and I mean that's the same thing can be said about movies with violence, too. It's just like, you make the film is then depicted by people who don't completely fully understand it, and then it's not then the director's fault or the creative's fault for shining a light. Like, they can only tell you so much within the film in conversations, and I know that Sofia Coppola does not put up these people on a pedestal, and then clearly the movie does not do that. It's more defined here than something like The Wolf of Wall Street, where like clearly from the beginning you're like, okay, well, these people are going to jail and this is really bad stuff. But it doesn't have, I think, the propulsion like Jay talked about to move this story along, to make it have something more resonant than just you having to have prior knowledge or prior, watching the documentaries. Like, I was watching this and I was thinking, that's why I was sitting there. I was like, I don't know if she maybe is the right person, because she is a generation apart from this. And I mean, that's okay. You know what I mean? To be that, and everything. Cause then you as a director are learning stuff and you put that together, whatever. But I was watching it and I was kind of like, the casting of this isn't really that great. The screenplay for me isn't really that great. And then the visuals isn't really that great. And then I was thinking about, man, it would have been like really good to like kind of do this. And I know it's, I'm not trying to like, recast this or redirect this, but I was just gonna say, I was like, the director that actually was growing up in this generation, and actually, if we were doing this film now, as opposed to waiting 5 years after all these events happened or whatever, is somebody like a Greta Gerwig, who would have been really interesting, because somebody there that lived through it, probably knows the superficiality. We're in those clubs, and at that time, it feels like like the outsider's perspective of her that really works well in her other films. For me, dampers it a little bit, so like, yes, she has Paris Hilton there, and they're able to use the houses, and they have Kirsten Dunst, and they're able to use these real people's houses, but I don't necessarily, for me, it didn't add much to it. And I think that there is an interesting thing about like all these movies that we're talking about.
That's like IMDb trivia stuff.
Yeah, like that's just like.
Well, and I do think that like, and I swear I'm not trying to make this a gendered thing in the way it's going to sound, but I do think that there is something about this movie that clicks specifically for people who had like real involvement in this sort of culture. Obviously not saying like we're in the nightclubs, but we're, already would know what Paris Hilton's house looked like.
Right.
I feel like we all, one way or another, everybody here that's on this was inundated with this culture, whether we liked it or not.
What was the name of the Paris Hilton
magazines
show?
Though? Yeah. Like, oh my God, the one where
with Nicole Richie?
Yeah, where they like went to live on the farm.
Where they live on the farm? Yeah. Yep. And I can't remember the name of it, but the entire point of that show, basically, the message of that show is there is nothing worse than being a farmer.
The simple life. The simple life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, like, the whole conceit of that is look at how crummy the life of a farmer is.
But it's not just.
And then that was what was permeating the culture at that time. It's just like, this stuff is not what you want. You want. It's the beginning of influencer culture, really, is what it is.
Yeah, it's beginning. It's a reality television, the fakeness, the glossiness, the plastic.
That's the clairvoyance of this movie to a certain extent, and what really
and I do
sustains.
think that part of the repetitiveness of it, because I get it. Like there is a spot in this where it's like, okay, we get it. You're going to another house. But I do think that's the point in a way, in that I think that they're all like what Sofia Coppola is doing is making us also feel really secure in what they're doing, to
Hmm.
the point that like you can understand why they got away with it for so long,
Yeah.
that they did stop seeing the danger in it. It became like, we go to the club and then we go to Paris Hilton's house. And you
Yeah, it's
see
like
why they
watching.
start to have this invincibility.
It's like when you're young and you're able to watch an R-rated movie because your parents aren't home or whatever, and then you're like able to sneak it, like sneak things or whatever in your house, and then all of a sudden it's like you're showing up at 2 a.m. and your parents kind of realize, oh shit, you haven't been
Yep.
home. You have been like, but where the hell have you been? Like, there's a little
How
bit of
about
like
when they
that factor.
steal a car?
Yeah, when she
Yeah.
They
just like in
just
broad
steal a
daylight,
car.
in broad
How
daylight.
about how about when Mark has to tell her not to steal Paris Hilton's dog?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
he's like
Yeah.
that they will notice.
No, and I mean like the stuff when they are stealing.
But the dog was more famous than any of the jewelry or anything. The dog was like her
Oh my
most
God.
famous
Yeah,
accessory.
that's like the
Yeah,
number one thing you can't do, you idiots. You know what I mean? And
right.
that's the other thing too. It's just
But it
like,
was about just like pushing the line.
yeah, like how
It's how
far can
far
I
can we
push it
take it?
Mm-hmm.
until I get in trouble? No, I
Well, then
agree
like
with that.
Mark says, America has this sick fascination with a Bonnie and Clyde kind of thing. And I really do think that like that line is very purposeful, because it does tell us that like this is in many ways the same story as Bonnie and Clyde, in that it's about this group of people who are doing something that's like not morally okay, but in the face of a culture that also has issues. And, obviously it's different than like the Bonnie and Clyde thing is about the way that the government's handling the Great Depression.
Mhm.
But this is about the way that like, well, maybe these people shouldn't have this wealth
It's a
anyways.
little bit of a
Like,
Robin Hood mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though I
but
mean,
without
What do
losing
you think? What do you
their,
think of that framing device where they're doing the interrogations in the court case?
I
oh,
mean,
and
I find it
the
uninteresting.
I
well,
It's the
you
hustlers.
agree.
It's the hustlers thing
well,
too.
it's the other thing that like I mean, this is the other thing I wanted to bring up. It's
Mhm.
like everything that
I'll
we're
allow it.
talking, everything that we're, thank you, Jay. Um, everything that we're kind of bringing up about this movie, or we're saying it's leading up to, or the sort of downfall of this generation, the millennials, or the generations that are going to set to come, and how the social media and obsession over what people think about them, and personalities, and being the real evil in the underbelly of it, and and all that. Um, yeah, that's great. I saw that movie 3 years before. It's called The Social Network. And the problem is that a lot of this movie is those ideas expanded to not an entertaining value. Like there is a
It's approaching
repetitiveness.
it
And
from
then
a
when you get
different
to then
angle
when you
Yeah,
than
it's
get to
just a
that.
the
very different
It's
angle.
yeah.
oh no. I think that these
No, it
I mean
is.
then you get to the courtroom stuff at the end, it's like none of this, or the when they're arrested, it's like none of this is interesting.
Well, yeah, because it's not written
None
by
of this
Aaron
is like a
Sorkin.
transcript
No,
being read to me. And I'm
but
like, this
I
I
actually
mean,
do think that the way that the kids react to being arrested is really interesting, because I think that's actually where we get some of the character building, and that you see that like there are those of them who Mark clearly knew that this was wrong the whole time. And I think that
Mhm.
you really see that. And
And
that's
he's the
the
one who got
very
punished the
end.
most.
yeah.
Right. And at the very end, we see that like he is having some real self-reflection. And I think it's sort of important that she's making sure that we know that these kids aren't a monolith and that they're not irredeemable, because we have this sense that Mark is someone who can turn his life around. And then we see Nikki and the way that like my God, whenever she's doing the like Vanity Fair interview or whatever, and she's like, I need to push for peace and the health of the planet. And it's like, right, while you're involved in all of this overconsumption, you like
Who
really
knows?
care
I
about the
could
health of
be
the planet.
president.
I could be
Mm.
president. And then like the very ending with her basically setting up that she's gonna like, you know, go to this website and you can like hear all about like my side of the story, whatever. And it shows that like, okay, on the other hand, here's someone who learned nothing from it. And I think
If
that
this happened today, she'd have a top 10 podcast on the charts.
Oh,
She'd be
and
like
her
millions
TikTok
and millions
following
of
would be
TikTokers. Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's and I guess that's the thing too, because we are so inundated now with the culture.
They did
the
this
way
a
it
decade
is.
too early.
Yeah,
But
I
the
mean,
thing
like,
is that
it's if you look through a 2013 mindset, like I was trying to
Mhm.
do through it, and even then I was like, okay, guys, I understand this, but it doesn't for me feel like yes, what because I want watching the documentary, it's like no, you understand the severity, you feel you feel the allegiance in the sides in that film is like okay, you understand the real people, who's remorse, who's not, who really had change, and you see full arcs. This movie, honestly, at times, it doesn't give them enough character development until the end. And then at the end, when you're trying to have sympathy or try to, see if they are redeemable or not, or if they aren't, or if this is a, like you're saying, Nicole, like a damnation on the entire generation and future ones, or if it's just on a specific group. I don't think the film picks any of that. And I think it's a damn shame because like I think that there are those moments. There's a little bit of breadcrumbs here and there and here and there and here and there in between. And I'm like, damn it!
Yeah.
It may be 10 more minutes of this movie, and we get all those. Like it feels
It is kind of a
almost
2.5 act movie. Is sort of what it is for me. But
and
I
I'm
will
not
say,
saying I need to beat it over the head, but it's just like, damn it! Like I when you watch Virgin Suicides and you see that scene at the end of the film at the country club, and you watch that movie, and you're like, that scene tells you everything you need to know about how society treated those women, thought about those young girls, thought about that family.
I don't think this movie makes it unclear what its point of view is.
Yeah.
No. I don't think that it lands the points that this cautionary tale should have behind
it's the
it.
surface level stuff that bothers me for the most part, where I just don't find this to be like a terribly enjoyable watch. I think it has actually interesting stuff that it's saying, and it's kind of ahead of its time in many ways, but just the process of getting to
get
those
to that point
points,
is
I just don't. It's just not my favorite. Although it doesn't. There aren't moments. I mean, there are moments that I really enjoy in the movie, but it definitely gets a little repetitive for me.
I kind of wish it had maybe, and I never say this about a movie. I rarely do. Kind of wish it had like some narration or something to kind of set everything up that was better. Like
Some Emma Watson narration.
no, not her. I think
This
if
is the best.
no, I think that if Mark, I mean, I think the movie presents itself as we're supposed to.
I think
fall
if
for
it had
Mark.
more charismatic, compelling actors in the roles, you wouldn't need the narration.
No, but
that to me is maybe the biggest problem with the movie is the cast.
And I do understand that like casting the role of Mark is difficult because you can't have too charismatic of an actor in that role, or
no, but like a
the
Logan
role
Lerman would have
doesn't
worked.
make. Logan Lerman was like the heartthrob of 2013.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
he
think
would have
that
he would have worked because he played young, weird, confused, out of the box selling. Like you need somebody like
Yeah.
that.
But I
And
think
This guy, Israel Broussard, I think the only other thing I know him from is the Happy Death Day movies.
He
And was he
also
in
was
the
in
rom-com?
to all the boys
Netflix?
I've loved
Yeah.
before you, or
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah.
To All the Boys I Loved
That's
Before.
a
He's
charming-ish movie.
Yeah, but
not
I'm not
because of
thinking.
him,
Yeah.
though.
No, I was gonna say I'm not because of him. Like
Although
he's
again, he plays sort of the like weird kid that she's like initially into.
yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
And then
I
in Happy Death Day, like Jessica Roth is like the real star of those movies, and he's just also there.
I think that I understand how they ended up with this because I get that like I think Logan Lerman would pull focus too much in the role, and the whole point is sort of that like he's fading into the background of a lot of this.
No, for sure. But I'm just again,
Like they
I'm
never
kind of
even raid a house where he can take clothes for himself.
Yeah.
Really.
no.
I mean,
Like-
it's a few years too early for this, but a Lucas Hedges type.
Yes.
Yeah, like a
Lucas Hedges would have been awesome in this role.
Yeah, he actually would have been perfect. Where is Lucas Hedges?
He's
Where is he?
Where
he's
is
doing plays.
Is he doing plays?
He hasn't, has he even done a play
he
in
took
a
a
while?
break, and then now he's doing plays.
I
Lucas,
saw him on Broadway.
please come back because I think you're.
Where are you, Lucas?
I think you're wickedly talented, buddy. I think
The wickedly talented Lucas Hedges.
Yeah, like
Lucas Hodges.
probably couldn't do it. Probably too old for the part. But I think of like a Plemons, like a young Plemons could have done it. Like somebody that's like from out of the, that's moved into town and feels like the superficiality about it and blends into the background.
No, like,
yeah.
I
got a Plemons story.
Oh, you got a Plemons story?
Well, it's just like a little anecdote.
Hell yeah, say it. Yeah.
So we were watching. So I didn't watch the Oscars at all this year.
Yeah. Well,
but
is this your third year doing that?
Didn't miss that much.
Maybe.
Yeah, you missed he missed a good show.
So. I don't know.
Yeah, but nothing, that's gonna last in pop culture.
I think the Ryan Gosling "I'm Just Ken" thing will last in culture.
I did see that.
I knew he was going to say he saw that.
Yeah.
Nothing like seeing the slap live.
I saw some
no controversy
pieces.
Yeah.
I did watch the slap live.
Yeah.
That was a real. See? That was a moment.
There were no "you had to be there when it happened" moments. Let me put it that way.
But we were watching. We did watch some of the pre.
Oh, you can't do that. That's
I don't know why.
That's gun to your head kind of crap. Like I don't even watch that.
Oh, no.
But
I love the pre-show.
Nah, we were just doing it. We were doing.
That's a mess.
Who's hot? Who's not? We were going full Joan Rivers on it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's what you kind of miss with those shows. It's like nobody there to like burn people alive for their bad dresses or suits.
It's when I do have nostalgia for the time period this movie's depicting.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, we should be mean, but maybe we shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But Plemons was there with Kirsten Dunst, obviously,
because they're selling that Civil War.
She saw him, and she said, "Who is that?"
Oh, is this the? Oh, I think I know what you're about to say.
And I said, Allie, you know who that is?
Mm-hmm.
That's Fat Damon.
Yeah.
And then he's so skinny now. He's so skinny now.
Damon's the Fat Damon.
Like, he's too skinny. He's too skinny. He's lost too much weight. I don't like this.
Yeah.
Plemons and Damon, they've been doing good work.
Plemons looking great.
Yeah, Plemons looking.
Handsome man.
I know that by the time this releases, I think Civil War will be out. He's really good in that. He enters his Philip Seymour Hoffman era with that kind of where he just goes in there, does one scene, steals the show, and then that's it. I think he's that kind of actor.
Listen, Kirsten and Jesse.
I know who Jesse Plemons is. She knows him as Fat Damon. Okay, it's not what I call him.
No, it's what the wife calls him. No.
It's my wife who's the problem.
I wasn't going to say it. Well, what was he there for? Oh, well, he was in Killers. That's right. Because it's another year where Jesse Plemons is nominated or is in a Best Picture nominated film. Because the man's
looking great. Kirsten Dunst still looking great.
Man's got taste. Yeah.
Gorgeous couple. No, he rolled up and it was a nice surprise because I forgot he was in it. Unlike the other person that I forgot was in it and gave me a jump scare.
Oh, Brendan Fraser. That's right. I demand to see Ernest Burkhardt.
The whale himself.
I think
thought they were landlocked there.
I really do like Killers a lot, but
I really can't. I really want more over the fact that movie is called The Whale, but the character himself, like it clearly implies that you are supposed to consider the main character is the whale, but in reality, it's like a metaphor for Moby Dick. But it feels like the meanest title of all time. Right. Even though it's not what it's supposed to be. And then it's like, who does he play in the movie? The whale, of course.
The whale. I kind of like, or was it supposed to be? And then they realized the optics were bad. And he was like, no, that's not why it's called The Whale.
I remember.
It's a bad title.
It's the titular role.
He's the titular whale. I mean, I have since had a candy jar or candy drawer. He had like candy drawers in that movie, right? When he's just whipping out like Twix bars.
I've got a meatball sub on just like rotation. I get a meatball sub a day.
See, that's like just I'm not a fan of a meatball sub.
Delivered by Hong Chow.
Really?
I don't think it's
I like a meatball sub. I don't think
it's a fulfilling sandwich.
Well,
Okay, see, if you had gone over it being kind of hard to eat, I would have
Yeah,
been
it's
like, yeah, that's
it's
fair.
really messy. Like,
But I am
see,
always
I like.
fulfilled.
I mean, like, I like bread, right? And I like
Yeah.
meatballs on
Meatballs.
and spaghetti and stuff
And
like
you
that.
like
So, like,
cheese.
and I love parm
I
cheese.
love marinara.
I
I
love
mean,
marinara. Okay, I don't know if
Put them all together.
it's not an easy
You got a stew
sandwich to
going,
take
baby.
on the go. You know what I mean? It's kind of a
sometimes
mess.
No, it's not a sandwich to take
you
on the
got to
go.
be willing to take a
Ryan, I
risk.
agree with you. If your plan is to run a half marathon with a meatball sub, you should not do that.
Do
I'm just
not
saying,
take
like-
it on an airplane.
Yeah, like
Absolutely not.
no, that's a smell that cannot.
If
like,
you're
get,
eating
you
a
know-
meatball sub at home, that's
oh
good
yeah, I mean, like,
stuff.
I
That's
actually
good
would
stuff.
prefer a chicken parm more. Than
I didn't realize that the
Now
qualifier
we're
for being a
talking.
good meal was that you had to take it.
But I
with
like
you
I
somewhere.
like an Italian, just like an Italian.
Do you
like a
also
regular.
not like a Philly cheesesteak?
No, I love a Philly cheesesteak, but I gotta
'Cause
again.
that's also hard to eat.
But no, that's very hard to eat. But like I'm not taking it in the car.
Ryan,
I'm
you
just
know,
trying to
on the
figure out
Ryan
what
go.
your
orders all of
standards
his
are here.
fillets to go and just eats them with his hand.
I'm just telling you, it's they're messy sandwiches. Sometimes you don't want the mess. Meatball sub is it's a
It's not the cleanest
and you
sandwich
got
in the
at least the
world, no
peppers
doubt.
and the onions a little bit in the Philly cheesesteak as opposed to like it's just meatball meat and sauce like it's and bread.
That's
it.
what I like. I mean, what
Yummy,
else do you
yummy,
want?
yummy.
It's not as complex of a sandwich that I like, but it's also if you're in a pinch and you need
The
one,
simplicity
it's
is the
good.
beauty.
Yeah.
No.
It's
You
by
gotta
the
get
way,
good ingredients.
by
I
the
do
way,
love a Philly cheese.
question.
Mhm.
This is I think the perfect question then to ask and then we'll get back
Mhm.
into the movie. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, we're
No.
not doing this.
Okay. Yeah, I think we have to do this. We have to answer this.
I don't think so.
No? Between two pieces of bread? It's meat?
Is it between two pieces of bread? Think that one through again.
Well,
But
what
half
about
the time
what
when you
about a
get it-
Philly? What about
but
a
half
Philly
the time-
cheesesteak? That's still a connected piece of bread most of the time.
Yeah, that's
I would
true.
say. A hoagie ends up most of the time
It's
still being
less
connected.
connected though.
Is a burger a
There is
sandwich?
clearly a top and a bottom.
Here would be my argument is I think part of being a sandwich is that the bread has to be on top.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
And this
And
is
with
like a
a hot
side
dog,
action.
the meat is on top.
So is
Exactly.
a burger then a sandwich?
A burger is a sandwich, yes.
Okay.
Okay, here's my thing though. If you said to someone, "Can you make me a sandwich?" and they brought you a hot dog,
Well, no. Well, it's kind of like
That'd be kinda
how
cool.
it's kind of like how
What a
But I feel
baller
like you would-
move.
you would be like, "This is not what I asked for."
I'd be like, holy shit, you broke the code. You are the one.
It's like how a square is still technically a rectangle,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
If
not
some-
every.
when also
Right.
when are
Square.
you ever going to turn down a fucking hot dog? Like a hot dog is like
I mean,
hot
is
dogs
it?
are great.
I like a dog.
Yeah,
Go to a
they're
baseball
fine.
game next week.
What do you
I'll
put
get
on
me
a hot-
big old
what do you put
jumbo
on a hot dog?
dog?
What do you put on them?
I'm a regular
I-
dude. I'm just a ketchup mustard boy.
You're just
Oh,
ketchup
I'm a
mustard?
chili cheese dog kind of.
Ooh,
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
if you're
Talk
really
about
if you're really getting after,
if you're getting
I
into it.
see. If I'm eating a hot dog, I'm like going all the way. Like
Okay.
I'm not gonna
I
mess
like
half
around.
measures on the dog.
I like
Yeah.
I like mustard and a spicy relish if I can get the whole lot.
I'm not a relish boy.
You gotta be and a little bit of onions, little onions.
I tell you what I like better than a
Some
hot dog
onions
is a
on top
corn
is not
dog.
bad.
Ooh, a
Talk
corn
about-
dog.
talk about a
Ooh, I love a
Talk
corn
about
corn
a
dog.
portable food.
Oh man,
Talk about it, but you
can
don't
take
have.
that on your marathon.
I don't either mustard or plain on it. I don't need anything. I don't need anything else on a corn dog. Yeah.
I mean, I like some mustard. I did once have it, and they gave me like beer cheese with it, and I was like, yeah, I was like, I can fuck with that.
that's
Like,
something. The whale would go wild.
Yeah, how are you gonna get him to the ballpark with a forklift? Like what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? So, all right. Anything else about the Bling Ring you guys want
Love
to
a
talk
corn
about?
dog. I
As
actually
we technically we just got to more and more excess about food and shit in there.
barbecue sauce on a corn dog actually good.
really.
oh,
Yeah,
I mean,
liked-
my
I've
What a
sister-
honey
liked
mustard?
it.
Would you do a honey mustard on that, Jay?
I'm not a honey mustard girl. I don't like.
Really?
I like honey
So-
mustard.
Do you like
But for a corn
aiolis?
dog, I think I would go with more.
Do you
regular
guys do
mustard.
the mayo on the fries? Do you guys ever do that?
I'm not a mayo guy by
You're not-
itself.
Are you
I
a
like
mayo?
a lot
am
of
not a mayo
mayonnaise-based
person.
things,
Oh,
Same.
okay. Okay.
but
If I
not
get-
mayo. I'm not putting mayo on a sandwich.
I have a.
You don't
weird
put
thing about
mayo
the-
on a sandwich?
No.
Do you put Miracle Whip on a sandwich?
No.
Mm-mm.
No, good.
I have
okay,
a weird
good.
thing
Thank
about
you.
the consistency of mayo. I'll
I'm with
put it on
Nicole
like
on
a
this one.
grilled cheese where it'll kind of like disappear into it.
Oh, where it just sort of
But
like
Ew, on a
thickens it
grilled
up.
cheese.
it's just helping you like thicken it.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Interesting. Are you
Yeah.
like do you not like a cream cheese on a bagel kind of thing? Do you not like that either?
No, I really only like whipped cream cheese. The like really thick
Oh,
cream
okay.
cheese freaks me out.
I like just
I'm
regular
a
old.
texture person.
Okay.
I'm a
I
texture
get you.
guy too.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
just
I love
if
an
it tastes good,
aioli.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
eat
like
it.
mayonnaise.
Yeah. I love a mayonnaise on a burger. It's actually really good.
Ooh, mayonnaise on a burger. Ugh,
Hell yeah. Mayo and mustard. And,
despicable.
yeah, I like a sloppy burger sometimes. But I like
I mean,
Where you at on
yeah.
where you at on like a fried egg on a burger?
hell yeah. Let's do it with some
Yeah.
bacon.
No.
Hell yeah. Let the yolk
Mm-mm.
flow.
You
baby.
break that yolk and it's like, I'm done. I'm out of
That's
here.
no yolk right. That's no yolk right there.
I don't want any yolk on my fingies.
Oh man, yeah.
No, that's
the bun
fair
will
though.
the bun, if it's good enough, will sop it up, and it's really good. And yeah, and then you can use your fries to get the yolk.
I am
Yeah.
normally a big proponent of the fried egg on top of anything, but on the burger it's hard because like
It's a
I don't
hand
want to be
food.
I don't want to be that bitch who's now like eating my burger with a fork and a knife, but
Yeah.
No,
I also
yeah,
don't want my hands to get dirty.
I know when
So-
I'm having an egg on
That's
my
how
burger.
you lose elections.
I know if I'm having an egg on my burger, it's go time, and I'm cutting it in half, and I'm getting messy, and it's gonna be it's a meatball sandwich at that point. I'm getting
That's
in the
fair.
mess. I've
You're
accepted
not
that
taking
mess.
it
Oh
on the
yeah,
marathon.
Mister, I can't eat a meatball sub, but
that's
give me
more
3
complex.
fried eggs on top of my burger.
I didn't
And
say
now we're
3.
talking.
You acting like I put the whole freaking chicken on my egg, or on my burger and shit. Like,
Can we have an Emma Watson sidebar?
I think that this is a perfect
Yeah.
time for that. I think, okay. I don't know about. Well, I think I know where you guys are going with this.
First of all, we haven't even talked about the iconic gif of her dancing and the tongue thing.
It's probably like her
Listen.
best. It's okay. Listen. I think Nicole and I are about to. Jay, you might want to get out of here. Talk
If
about
I back that up
formative.
to watch it 3 times, that's nobody's business. But
Yeah,
my own.
that's
It is.
that gif very important to me. Yeah,
Yeah, that GIF helped me realize some things about
Yeah.
That's an important.
Not, like,
it's an
not
important
even
work.
joking.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
That
solidified.
GIF,
I didn't realize
realize
it's
some
solidified,
things.
Nicole. It's solidified.
No, you do. You come across that at any moment, and you're like,
Holy shit!
"Is anybody looking
When-
at me watching this right now?"
It's like the best shot of the
No.
movie. You know what I mean?
one time I was literally watching this movie like on my laptop in the same room as my younger sister, and that scene happened, and she looked over me and went, "What are you watching?" And I
It's a
was
fair
like,
point.
"It's just a Sofia Coppola movie. Don't at me."
Man.
it is like
Yeah.
the hottest thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it just is.
That's why I wish the
Like,
rest
and
of the
for
movie was kind of
what?
like that. Like the kind of rest of the movie should feel this.
That's why every time
Kinda
they were in that
naughty.
club, I was like, "Let's go."
Yeah, that's why I kind of wanted this to be a little bit more. I think dangerous.
That's the most
like that.
movie
And-
star-ish Emma Watson has ever been too. It's like, whoa, for maybe the only time in your career you had it for
Well,
5
Hey,
seconds.
I mean,
well, I mean,
I
she
think
kind
she's
of.
good. I think she's good in the Harry Potter movies. So now we're just doing that. Let's go down
Let's
the
do
Emma,
it. Let's-
Emma
let's
Watson
do it.
rabbit hole.
We got to do it. I think that, yeah, from 2001 to 2011,
Harry
she's making Harry Potter movies,
Um,
and
do not
And the
discount
tele- the-
in 2007
okay, here
the
we
television film Ballet Shoes, which is an iconic classic.
go. Okay,
That I have seen
Of course.
no less than 4 dozen times because it was my sister's favorite movie growing up. It
Ah.
also has a very young Lucy Boynton in it.
There we go. Okay,
Um,
these are things
it
I would
is-
not have ever thought of.
Yep.
This is
It
why
is-
we
that's why
bring
we have
Nicole.
It is low key
Um,
great.
Yeah, and then she does.
Very low key.
She does. She's got a small part in My Week with Marilyn, which she's kind of just background
She's there.
character. She's there. She's in The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which is a movie that in 2012 was a very important movie to Ryan. Since then, has not aged particularly well.
Fun fact, I'm going to show you. I'm at my desk at my parents' house right now, and sorry that the listeners can't see this. This is my Perks of Being a Wallflower movie ticket
It's her
But it's
movie
still
ticket
hung
right
up.
there.
Wow.
There you go.
on my desk because that movie was the most formative of things for me.
I rewatched it recently. It's a little, kind of, by the numbers sort of movie like that, but it's not terrible, but it's not it is
See,
what
I
it
love
is.
it.
It is what it
I
is.
I haven't
love that
rewatched
movie.
it, nor have I watched it for the first time.
Oh,
I
Jay,
have not seen it.
Jay,
I was
you-
in college.
Jay, you
Okay.
Are
should
Fair enough.
you kidding me?
walk to it. And then so she has a Bling Ring this year.
Hmm.
She also has, I think, one of her better performances also too in This Is the End, where she plays a version of
She
herself.
She's good in
is
that.
underratedly good at comedy.
Fucking funny in that movie.
Mhm.
That movie's great. It's one of the last sort of, I think that's one of like the last great like Seth Rogen, all the
Mhm.
gang together comedies.
When I saw that movie for the first time, I was like, that is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen in my life.
There's still bits in it that make me
Yeah.
laugh.
Oh, it's very funny. It's a very funny movie.
The Jonah Hill bit of like when he's praying to God and he's just like, God, it's me, Academy Award nominee Jonah Hill. It makes me laugh.
Jonah Hill's very funny in that.
Danny McBride though steals the show for me in that movie. He's fucking incredible. Then she's in. Speaking of the whale,
Aronofsky, baby.
she's in Noah's Ark.
I did in fact see that movie in movie theaters.
Can I tell you this? I don't hate Noah.
I don't either.
It's interesting. It's
in-
bad.
It's not particularly great, but it's also like, wow, this is kind of a weird swing. And
Yeah.
the first half of Noah, I think is like, wow, this is actually really good. When they get on the boat and it turns into like this weird fucking like
The rock
thriller.
creatures
Yeah,
and
it's like, what the fuck
turns
is
into
this
Lord of the
movie?
Rings? Yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
It's a little
no,
weird.
They took a
honestly, there
swing.
might be an argument to be made that maybe it's better if Darren Aronofsky doesn't pretend he's not making a Bible movie,
Yeah.
listen,
because that's
they
what he
took a
does
swing.
with every movie.
They gave me plenty of nice people to look at while the swing went wrong.
Logan Lerman, you got
Yeah.
she's in it. You got
Mhm.
Jennifer Connelly, Russell Crowe.
Who else? There's somebody else, I swear. Is it
Somebody
like
else is-
Douglas Booth or somebody?
Douglas Booth, yes,
Douglas
he's
Booth.
in that.
Yeah.
What a pool. Ray Winston is the bad guy in this. Yeah, I remember seeing
Anthony
it.
Hopkins.
I remember it being like the most like saccharine movie alive when it was coming out, and then it was like, this movie's like fine. Like, what are you getting all like
Wait.
angry about? Like,
Y'all, I did not realize that Finn Wittrock was in that movie.
really?
Yeah. He plays like the younger version of one of the characters.
So then she's in like a couple of
Wild
like
lore.
low rent sort of films, like
Nothing where it was like,
Calling,
these are Emma Watson
yeah,
vehicles.
Regression. Like these are some really small things.
They go nowhere. And then
When
we
he's-
have one of the worst films of all time.
I don't think it's one of the worst films of all time. It's not even the worst Disney remake.
Wait, are you talking
I
about that,
think
or
it-
this? Or are you talking about The Circle? Because The Circle's
I'm
not
talking
very
about
good either.
Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
Listen, as someone who unfortunately saw Dumbo,
Oh no, I think Dumbo
Oh.
is one of the more
It's-
interesting ones. We were talking about this
We were talking about this last night.
last ep.
Yeah.
last
I think
night.
Dumbo
Yeah.
is one of the worst films I've ever seen.
I
Here's
think
the thing.
Dumbo is interesting.
And I
It's not
I
good.
haven't seen it. So there you go.
I think
Don't.
I think Beauty and the Beast is the worst one.
I feel like a live action
I would disagree.
Disney ranking piece is coming to the website soon because
Mm.
Mufasa's coming out later this year. I feel like that's going to be.
Oh yeah.
I feel like somebody will get tortured. It ain't going to be me. I'm not writing it.
I'll do it.
I feel like
I will do it.
I actually kind of feel like you're the perfect person to do that, Mr. Cynical.
That would be
If you put
a
anything
mean
other than
piece.
Cinderella at the top, I will have words for you.
Probably Pete's Dragon.
Pete's Dragon. for me,
Pete's Dragon
yeah.
is allowed, actually. That's my
Yeah,
one.
It's,
Yeah.
it's
The one thing I will allow in number
because
one
like
spot,
David
other than Cinderella.
because David Lowery knows true magic.
Well, and it's also
Knows
the one
what's
that's
up.
not beholden to any sort of
yeah, it's like, and also
iconography.
it was before the sort of like it's not
It
one
was
of
back
the
when they
more
were letting a director like run with it.
it's not well yeah, but then it's also it's not like the most popular ones. It's not of the princess realm. The original movie is kind of fine, so
and
it
it's not
gets
a
elevated by-
religious text. to
yeah,
people,
it's not
is
like
the most
I
important.
agree with you. I agree with you, Nicole. Like the Cinderella one is very good. And like the Jungle Book is very good too. But then like the rest of
Yeah.
them are so they forgot how to have any
I-
imagination to them. And then like this.
No.
The
forget,
Beauty-
forget about imagination. The problem with Beauty and the Beast, which is what we're talking about, because
Here we
we're
go.
talking about Emma Watson.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
That's right.
Why on earth would you feel, and this is the problem with the Lion King too, and like so many of these other things, why would you feel beholden to actually make the clock look like a clock? Like
This is
so
your hang up.
bad.
Okay,
It is just
interesting.
like it strips all the personality out of 80% of these characters in the movie.
I
Also,
agree
the
with.
Beast looks bad. Emma Watson is abominable in that movie. She can't sing. She
I
has
don't
no
think
The
she's
auto-tune-
given
the
much to
auto-tune-
work with.
so bad in that
The
movie.
auto-tune
I mean,
is
she's given an impossible task, but she does not elevate it
Look,
at all.
that movie gave me Luke Evans as Gaston, and for that I thank it.
That is the best part of the movie, no doubt about it.
Anytime he's on screen, I'm like, I'm
And also,
sad.
when LeFou stared at a man longingly, that was progress.
That changed lives.
That changed everything.
God damn it. Yeah, and then like the next 45 movies afterwards, they were like trying to be like gay first. It's like, you're so desperate, Disney.
Listen, I will defend, not without its flaws, but I will defend The Little Mermaid live action film.
Honestly, that was not one of the worst ones. However, Scuttlebutt is a war crime.
No, Scuttlebutt is a war crime. And there is a part of me, though, that's like, did Lin do that to Aquafina on purpose? Was he like...
I feel like, well, I mean, I think we need
I'm
to have...
going to give her something for people to be mad about.
Can I have
a director's watch bonus series, Disney live action remakes?
Jay, I want to bring something to the table because I was thinking about this the other night.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we at collectively with Lin-Manuel Miranda?
Look,
where are we? Because I feel like
you're talking to a long-time Hamilton skeptic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, they can never make me hate you, Lin.
I feel like
theater kid rap is one of the worst things that has happened.
He directed Tick Tick Boom, and so
Tick Tick Boom is good. I
will always forgive him for whatever else he does.
I feel like he's kind
of
like
some of his music.
He's not
I like the music in Moana.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I feel like when
stuff.
I feel like he's taken a slow step back, maybe gone for a
he
couple of years.
He overexposed himself big.
Yeah, he got really big overexposed. Like I just saw like a clip of like the
He seems nice. I will say
he's like
that.
a really
he
nice
like
guy, but I just like
man.
But again, it's like I feel like I'm seeing you way too much, and I think that, and I just don't want you overexposed. I mean, I like Hamilton, and I'm not like Jay. I'm not a jerk. But and I think it's becoming a relic of its time for sure. Just like most things become, but
in the way that Rent is a relic of its time.
For sure. Like not a lot of music, like musicals are for like. I think Book of Mormon is a relic of its time, big time. It'll be interesting to see like how Wicked is translated to the big screen because like that's
In
the
Heights stands up fairly well still.
Yeah, because it's kind of they kind of modernized it and it's kind of universal themes in it. Her last film that she did, probably one of her best is probably her best movie that she's ever done, and
she gets wiped away by every other.
I think she's very good in it.
Well, she's also the second choice to play that role. She wasn't the first choice.
Who was the first choice?
Thank God Emma Stone did not play that role because she is
she would have overwhelmed
absolutely
the
wrong
movie.
for it. She would have been so wrong for
That's
it.
interesting.
No, I think Emma Stone.
But that role is not for her.
I think Emma Stone would have killed it. Honestly,
no.
But I think Watson does a good job.
I think she overwhelms that movie.
I think it's just the character itself. I think the character is the least interesting of the characters. And it's written that kind of way, but it's still a very good
character is Meg March. I wish that was a joke.
I mean, look, we all know who the best character in that movie is.
It's Chris Cooper.
It's Chris Cooper, baby.
Chris Cooper on that fucking staircase.
It's actually Aunt March's dog.
That movie is
awesome.
I mean, that movie's a miracle. Like
rocks.
I
rocks.
I say this lovingly because I did rewatch Barbie recently and I liked it a lot, and it with a lot of things that's been going on personally for me, it kind of got recontextualized in this household. For Barbie to be like her third best movie that she's ever made because she's got Little Women and Lady Bird.
Yeah, it's her worst. Yeah. It's her worst movie,
and that's still like better than like
most people.
anyone's movies for like
Yep.
this year period, like that's
Yeah.
come out. Like that's
Yeah.
yeah. This year's been rough. I'm just saying that. I've seen a lot of
Yeah.
movies already.
2024.
Yeah.
You're saying? Yeah,
It's
I've barely
been
watched
rough.
any new releases because nothing's really.
I've seen
hit.
about 40 new movies and some carried over from last year, some I saw this year, and I'm like,
Jay, did you
nothing's
see
as
The
good as
Beautiful
last year.
Game on Netflix? The new soccer movie with Bill Nye?
No,
Would recommend.
The
Is that like
Beautiful
It's
Game.
not like, yeah, it's not like a great film, but it's
I'll
about
check that out. Just like
it's
a little
about the
heartwarmer.
the like homeless World Cup,
I feel like you and the
Homeless World Cup.
which is a real thing where they like
they
Oh.
collect
teams of
homeless people off the street and give them in the World Cup.
It's like the
so
most dangerous game.
well, no, so it's this real thing where like every year teams like train and they like bring like homeless people together to like sort of give them something to work towards, and then they take them to whatever city it's being held in, and they all get to play and like get to travel. And for a lot of them, they say it helps like with if they're dealing with addiction, or it helps them like sort out their relationships with their families and stuff. And Bill Nye plays the coach.
At halftime, do they sing the Scuttlebutt?
No, thank God.
God damn it. 2 stars.
But
Um,
would recommend. It's on Netflix.
I'll have
I
to check that out. Sounds very much like Next Goal Wins, my favorite film of 2023.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
I will say this.
There is a sports pitch.
She has since kind of like semi-retired, Emma Watson.
I mean,
Yeah, she's
the
kind of
thing
doing
about-
like what she was doing, like UN stuff for a while.
the thing about Emma Watson is that she like attended both Brown and Oxford
Yeah.
and has done like incredible activism work. So like I think she just kind of realized that she also
Oh.
did some like editorial work. I think she just realized that like acting was not what she wanted to do. It's just what she'd been doing since
For
she was
now.
a kid.
Yeah, for now.
Well, like you think about, she started at the age of what, like 11?
She's
Yeah.
getting those Harry
And-
Potter checks for life. She's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's good. She didn't have to do anything. It's
But
very much.
she's-
It's very much the Carrie Fisher
Yeah.
thing where like I don't have to.
But even Carrie
Be-
Fisher stayed around.
I know, no. I know. Well, Carrie Fisher's a different story because she
Yeah.
She was a script doctor.
Well, her
for,
mom
like,
is Debbie
most
Reynolds
of
for
her
Christ's
life.
sakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like there's that as well. But no, it's
Who is
it's
Emma
it's,
Watson's mom?
I don't know.
Deborah
We got
Watson?
some
I-
time.
No.
If it's fucking Deborah, I'm gonna laugh my ass off. Hang on.
No, I think her parents were like teachers or something.
Jacqueline.
Lawyers, maybe?
Jacqueline.
Jacqueline.
Lawyers.
Kristen, yeah, they're
Yeah.
lawyers.
Oh yeah, they're smart.
They're smart people. Yeah, and so I think that
She's a smart person.
yeah. I mean, like
She seems lovely.
I think
Yeah.
that she, in the hands of a talented director, can do good work. I don't think that her mindset's on that, but then also too, like in a couple of years she might want to come back to it. Like every actress
Yeah.
of her kind of generation has taken that break. Like Stone took that break, and
And-
Lawrence took that break, and even
You know?
people that, and she's not officially said. Well, I think she's kind of officially said she's just putting it off to the side for now and focusing on
Yeah.
other things.
Soft retired.
Yeah, it's a soft retire,
Yeah.
but I think then
I also think it makes so much sense that she wants out of the industry with like, I mean, people talk now about like, obviously we all saw the way that things went down with like Millie Bobby Brown and stuff whenever she turned 18. But when Emma
Mhm.
Watson turned 18, the way that the press reacted to it was disgusting.
yeah,
There were like countdowns going while she
Yeah.
was 17. It
Yeah.
was so like I can totally see how
how old was she when Goblet of Fire came out?
Let's see.
Was she like
Goblet of
15, 16?
She was born in 1990, and Goblet of Fire came out in what?
2004?
Came out in 2005.
Okay, so she's like
So
15,
filmed in 2004.
So probably she was probably 14 filmed in that movie.
14, 15, because
Yeah.
that's like the first time she's seen as a love object in that film
Yeah.
to Ron and Harry, and so therefore I think that's when it starts. Then too, and it's because it's adolescence and that's what's in the books and things of that nature, but then it's taken to a degree of really just
She's not coded as a little kid anymore.
no.
Yeah.
No, she's not.
And
And,
it's the same
there's
thing
that jump
we
in between.
saw,
Yeah, it's the jump in between when they did the second film to the third film. They all kind of grew
Yeah.
up a little bit, and then
Yep.
that's when it all kind of just like, oh my god, these are young adults now, and
Well,
like,
And
never
we saw
forget
it
her
with,
delivery
like-
of It's not Leviosa. It's Leviosa.
Yeah.
My favorite is
Great
I'm
stuff.
not an owl.
Yes. But like, no, I think
Give her an
that,
Oscar for that. But yeah.
you know, it is interesting the sort of the machine that the three of them have been in, because like she's
Yeah.
gone on now to kind of gotten tired of the industry or moved away from it, or definitely fighting for things behind the scenes. She's still involved with some stuff. And then like
She's
Rupert
she's
Grint is
doing
like
bigger and better things.
Rupert Grint's
Rupert
doing
Grint's
like,
been doing that Apple show forever.
yeah,
He's M. Night Shyamalan's guy now.
yeah, he's doing like
Yeah.
TV shows with Shyamalan or like things on
Although for a
BBC.
while he was just like driving his ice cream truck around.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was just with he's the one, but he's the one that has kids and has a family and all that. And then Daniel Radcliffe is still the star of the three of them and the most in the public, and but he's doing things still on his own terms. I mean, before the world knew the Daniels, he was working with the Daniels, you know, in Swiss Army Man, and he's
think-
working on Broadway and,
Well, you know,
and
Don't take this wrong because it's going to sound like I'm saying something I'm not. But I think that in some ways, Dan Radcliffe not being like perfectly conventionally attractive is his greatest asset.
Well, he's,
because
like,
it's allowed him to
small
have
and
this like
he can do
weird,
indie
quirky
weird
career.
movies. Yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't force him into being like a leading man because he
Yeah.
doesn't look like, Henry Cavill. And
he gets
I
to
think
to go in all these different
He's-
boxes, kind
he's
of
very
just
short.
like, just kind of like, you know,
yeah,
like, you know, Pattinson actually goes a lot for the weird shit, you know, to try to.
Emma Watson
to-
looks like she should be an enormous movie star, but
mhm.
Emma Watson looks
unfortunately,
like
she just doesn't have
But she decided to like
it.
help climate change instead.
like
Yeah.
Emma Watson could be. She could have the career that Emma Stone has, but she
No.
chooses. Yeah, she
No,
could.
No, she's
Yes.
not as talented as Emma Stone.
It doesn't matter about talent.
Yes, it does. Emma Stone is supremely talented.
It does. No,
And
no.
has
We're not saying she would have the
incredible charisma.
Oscars.
No, I would. I mean, she could. You don't know.
No, she could not. I'm
I'm
sorry,
saying-
she just couldn't.
Jay, you're
If they
wrong.
put her all
Because
in
you're
roles where
saying-
she can have her actual
you're
accent.
saying that-
Not every beautiful person could be Emma Stone.
I do
What I'm
think
what I'm
that-
saying is that it doesn't matter, because awards, it doesn't work that way. It works off that she's very charming and she is a great collaborator. If she wanted that career, she could get that career. That's
I
not
disagree wholeheartedly with that.
You're
but
wrong about that,
yes.
because that's not how it works. You know,
It's-
you wouldn't say Sydney Sweeney is the most talented person,
Sam
and yet she's able to
Worthington.
do that.
Great
You know what I mean?
collaborator.
Sam
Very
Worthington's not-
successful
oh.
at the box office.
Yeah, because
Has
Sam
never
Worthington
gotten an
looks
Oscar
like
nomination.
you're just wrong about that. Like, literally, she could get her own movies produced and made and done the
Yeah.
same thing. It's every one of her generation is doing that.
She
right
could
now.
get. She could
It's
probably
very
get a movie
much-
made, but you're talking about Emma Stone, one of the most awards accomplished actresses of all time.
I'm saying if she wanted to, she could do that. It's not that hard.
I think that the point is that
It's not.
She's
that
also
hard to be
choosing
one of the three
not to
biggest
do
movie stars
this.
on the planet.
I don't think she's one of the three biggest
I don't
movie
think
stars
she's
on the
one of the three
planet.
biggest movies.
I think
I
that
think
she is
you're
one of
flat
the
out-
5 biggest female movie stars on the planet.
Now, see, now you're changing the goalpost, because you just went
Whatever.
from all of them
Emma
to now
Stone.
to
Emma
all
Stone has
five.
never been one of the 25 biggest movie stars on the planet.
I mean, honestly, she probably was around the time of like Deathly Hallows Part 2.
Oh, Emma
but-
Watson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. But like, again, that's also a property. I'm saying that she's a smart enough person. If she obviously can work with somebody like Greta Gerwig, then she knows
Yeah.
how to make smart decisions. Like, it's not like she's, you
It's
know,
very much her choice not to have
Yeah.
a different career, I think.
I think Emma Stone is shooting too high. She could have.
I mean, you're saying
someone
that,
else's career.
I mean, you're saying Emma Watson, oh, she played Belle. Oh, well, Emma Stone played Cruella. So it's not like it's, you know, like, what are we talking about here? If she was available, she could probably do some of these roles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, she's a very popular person.
Yeah, but she wouldn't have like won an award for.
You don't know that.
I would, because I've
you
seen
don't know
her
that.
movies, Ryan.
I've seen Renee Zellweger win 2 Oscars for shit performances. It doesn't matter about the performance. It matters about being in the room and swaying
Right,
voters.
I'm gonna drop this one. We're gonna agree to disagree on this one.
I think the point is that like she purposely stepped away from acting and pursued other things like a degree and like her activism work and doing some magazine editorial stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that like I really admire the way that I remember there was a time where there were a lot of accusations of her being sort of the example of a white feminist. And she really stepped away and like did the work and came back and worked on uplifting other voices. And she's been someone who has been speaking out about Palestine for a long time. She was speaking out for trans rights, like before it became the thing to do.
Equal pay
And I
in
think
the
that,
industry as well.
you know, climate stuff and sustainability.
She's been at the forefront of a lot of topics.
No, she's admirable. Yeah, she's taken a good path.
She's not one of those, let me sign you a check and then, you know, I get the
I like
tax
Emma Watson, the person. Not sure I'm as crazy about Emma Watson.
I'm not saying that she's a wonderful actress. I'm just saying that if
she could be as big as Emma Stone, 2-time Academy Award winner and one of the most bankable stars on the planet.
Well, hey, Mr. You don't know what you're talking about. Do you know who was originally supposed to play Mia in La La Land?
Thank God. Good grief.
Do you know who was supposed to play those 2 roles? It was not Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. It was Miles Teller and Emma Watson.
Miles. Whew, that would have been.
She would have won an Oscar.
Truly, so like it's not even Emma Watson who would have tanked that.
And she stepped out of it, you know, taking a break.
Then they saw Beauty and the Beast, and they were like, "Whew."
And yet people saw Cruella, and they were like, "Oh, let's keep working with her." No, that's a bad faith argument.
Emma Stone is good in Cruella.
She's no.
Emma Stone is good. Good.
I actually would give this one to Jay, but I also think Cruella is a much better movie in general than Beauty and the
agree.
Beast. Like,
I don't think
she's also working with a better director there.
Oh,
a better script.
Well,
okay, Ryan, better than.
I'm not saying either one are good. I don't like either one. It's like Tony McNamara's least it's worst material. I don't like
Ryan. We've been over this. Cruella, I think, was the sign of the end times of film, and also I had a good time.
I thought that was the Jungle Cruise.
That's right. But you know, it's funny. We've talked about Emma Watson, I feel like, for 30 minutes, and we haven't. And the rest of this cast,
for me to do.
Yeah, and the rest of this cast, like, good on you,
Leslie Mann.
Hope you enjoy, of the actors of their generation. Besides maybe Taissa Farmiga, who's like got a recurring role on the Gilded Age now, and mostly it mostly has worked probably because she's the older sister of an Academy Award nominated actress. The rest of them, just kind of glad you're here. Good for the show. This was your. You got to.
One of the girls.
One of these days,
never acted again.
No, it's like one of these days you get to look back and say, "Hey, I worked with Sofia Coppola." But I think that's the other thing that kind of makes me disappointed too about the casting of all of this. It's like, I know that Sofia Coppola can cast really good young actors in these roles because I've seen her do it in somewhere. I've seen her do it. You know,
she didn't find her new Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah, she just didn't find anybody there, and it's like,
no, that came.
Everybody's got a
wild when she found Elle Fanning.
Yeah. Well, no, she found her in somewhere.
There are some.
That's true.
There's some big parallels between Kirsten and Emma Watson, I guess, at this point, because Emma Watson had been around for a long time, just like Kirsten Dunst had around the time of the Virgin Suicides.
Kirsten Dunst then takes a break, comes back, and now she's an Academy Award nominated actress. So what I'm saying is, give it about 10 years.
Yeah, but Ryan, who do you think is better, Kirsten Dunst in the Virgin Suicides or Emma Watson in anything she's ever done?
Ooh, that's tough.
It is not.
Listen, I genuinely think that Emma Watson could come back and be a fairly impressive comedic actor if she wanted to.
I think she's
fun. Maybe try like a No Hard Feelings Jennifer Lawrence thing, something like that.
Okay, Emma Watson worked with the Safdie brothers show.
I think she could do like you know how like Rachel McAdams is like really good in like Spotlight.
Yep.
I think she could do a performance like that easily.
I could see her doing some sort of like Emma Thompson.
You keep comparing her to like the best.
I know you love, but I'm just saying it's like they all kind of have these like she could come back and do some really like, because it's a movie that's like it's subdued and you don't have to be a big star and you can just
I'm trying
normally
to think
fit
of
yourself in
who
there.
her career could be, and I'm just sort of searching.
But she's kind of like, again, she's kind of her own thing. You know what I
I
mean?
think that, like Jane Fonda, she should come back from all of her activism work
Yeah, but she's not
and
as
do a
good an
bunch of
actress as.
book club movies.
Yeah, that's true.
No, but I would like to see like an older Emma Watson do
Yeah, like a
know,
I'm telling you, we were talking
old
about this
lady
before we got
movies.
on, like 40 year old,
Yeah,
35-year-old book
yeah.
club. You know what I mean? Um, do you guys have anything else to say about the Bling Ring before we get out of here?
Let's see.
I'll just say I wish
Um,
I loved it. God, I wish I loved this
Yeah, I
movie.
wish I did too. Because Jade, this is the movie that I think is in the third tier of the cake. We've been having a Sofia Coppola "Let Them All Eat Cake" ranking, and
incredible. Okay.
and I think that this is the bottom layer is not like it's not this is not one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. It's just like the not my favorite of the films that we've seen or the films that we will talk about, and it's a pretty sturdy, pretty popular bottom tier film, but it's yeah, that's where I would kind of put it. I wouldn't I wouldn't put it above anything we're
She's
about to
never
talk
made
about.
an out and out bad film.
No, I just
So
think that
true.
there's just some missed opportunities
I'll
for
tell
me,
you
at
who
least.
closest comp I could find just scrolling through Letterbox
Here we go.
Okay.
to Emma Watson. Elizabeth Banks.
Oh,
That's the level I think
that's
she's
mean.
at. That's the level I think she's at.
That's mean because
That's,
Elizabeth Banks has made a lot of bad choices. Yeah,
I
Have you
mean,
seen Beauty and the Beast? Good
yeah, but
Lord. Have you seen The Circle?
Have you?
I
Yeah,
haven't, but I hear it's
no,
bad.
no, it's bad. Well, that's also just James Ponsoldt. He's
all
not.
right. Well, then maybe Emma Watson will come back and
But
give
then
a
she made.
truly
But then you know
great
what?
turn
But
in
after
another franchise.
In The
but,
Beanie Bubble
but after that, she
2.
did. I mean, she works with Gerwig, so and she is very good. And she is very good in that movie. She's just not the best
She is
because
not very good in that movie,
she
Ryan.
is very good in that movie.
All right.
I think she is.
Yeah,
I'm just being mean to her at this point.
Yeah,
I like her.
yeah, you're just
Sure.
being an ass. You know what I
I'm
mean?
sorry, Emma. She's a
You just hate her
listener.
climate activism. You're trying
Yeah,
to
you're just like you hate the
trying to
planet,
destroy the
you
ozone
dick.
layer.
No, I mean like
She should
I,
go on Rogan.
I mean she's not Saoirse and she's not Florence,
Yeah.
who are clearly best in that movie. You know what I mean? Or Eliza Scan.
Yeah.
She's the fourth sister in terms of performance, but in terms of like those are three other really great actresses that are opposite
Yeah.
her, and it fits. And I don't think it would.
I honestly
It's
think
not a
part of the
showy
brilliance,
role.
part of the brilliance
it's
of
not.
that
You're right.
casting is that she is so clearly the fourth most talented actress in the family. And I think that actually is sort of a meta element of the movie that
No.
works really well.
At least she lives.
And that's my opinion. And I'm sticking to it, baby.
Well, you're entitled to your wrong opinion.
Man, that's
Um,
so mean.
I,
Those are three
I
very,
have
very talented actresses
Yeah, no,
playing the
they are.
other sisters.
I have
Scanlan is really, really
two
talented.
things to add before we finish discussing the Bling Ring.
Okay.
One is that one of the funniest things to me rewatching this film is the reminder of when we used to take selfies before we had front-facing cameras
Oh,
and
Oh, yeah.
the look of those and the way that people posed for them is so specific. And I think that's part of what I love about this movie is how there's very specific things from this era that it captures, which is the time when I was in like
Mhm.
8th and 9th grade. Um, and so it's just like wild to see some of it on screen like that. The other thing is I love at the end or towards the end when Rebecca's being questioned by the police and like her first question is, what did Lindsay say? Like, because I think that that does a good job of subtly towards the end really um it really is hitting that like these people were doing this for different reasons and for her it was entirely about the proximity to celebrity.
Mhm.
And I think that that is what the movie's good at. I think looking at Sofia Coppola's view of celebrity through like a lens of Marie Antoinette, The Bling Ring, and Priscilla is a really fascinating exercise. And the way that celebrity and like, you know, girlhood intersect is really interesting. Like I said, I love this movie obviously, but I think that it actually is most interesting when in conversation with things like um even something like The Beguiled. And if you look at the way that Sofia Coppola builds group dynamics, there are so many like subtle cuts that these girls do to each other in this movie. Like, I think it's much more real than something like a Mean Girls, where people are like comically mean to each other.
Yeah.
There are parts in this movie where I was like truly having a physical reaction to the way that like they just subtly cut one of the girls out of a conversation. Um, or she'd say, I'm going here, and they'd be like, oh, really?
Or
And
one
I think
person
that
decides that they get the dress over the other person or
right.
stuff like
Or
that.
like
Yeah.
tells them like, no, you can't wear that.
They
Like it doesn't
establish a
look good on you.
hierarchy. Yeah.
I think that the way that that's all done very subtly and without like talking about it basically is really, really well done. And again, I think we see some of that same sort of thing in The Beguiled later in terms of and some of that comes from the virgin suicides in this thing of looking at how girls at this age build hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love talking about this with you guys, even if you don't like it as much as I do.
Sorry.
You know what? I think this movie could use another 20 minutes.
I think that's
I don't disagree.
I think
Yeah.
it could use.
I just need a little bit of flesh down
in their everyday life more.
You
I
know,
think that would help.
I wouldn't go that far, but I think I don't want to see.
I think that would help flesh out the characters.
I don't want more Leslie Mann stuff, but I do want like more.
Leslie Mann is good in this.
I do. I would like more Leslie Mann stuff.
No. I just think I feel like
I need another one of her prayers.
I feel
you're talking to the biggest fan of This Is 40 in
it's
the contiguous United States.
That's a good movie. But no, I think for me, I just wanted something that, whether it is, again, marked narration or a better actor or 20 extra minutes or something to add those contextual layers to it to feel like maybe when
we needed Lucas Hedges.
We needed like like I feel like the next generation, like feel like weirdly enough, this era that we're talking about here, the 2013, 2014 year, like we're just about to get to this new era of young Hollywood that we're kind of having right now, when we're past the point where the late 2000s, early 2010 ones could play these parts. And so you're kind of like having to patch it all together. And it's just like, if this story is done in like 2018, the acting crop of choices might have been better for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that being said, like, it's an interesting movie to talk about. We figured out a lot of things today, about like Emma Watson's career and sandwiches. So
sandwiches.
I think
Ryan's
that's
opinion of Emma Stone.
Yeah,
apparently he thinks
I like Emma Stone.
Super mediocre.
It's not that I think
I don't think she has awards.
I was far.
I don't. She's the most talented.
I don't think that she's boring. I think that there's honestly
they're never going to give you any of their gin brand.
I think Emma Stone's got a little bit of like a formula to her, and I think she's very likable.
She's really channeling the same energy from like Easy A and Poor Things.
I mean, both of them are movies about sex, so good job.
Yeah.
She's really channeling the exact same energy.
If Emma Watson and her hot brother would like to send me some of their gin that they now make, feel free.
Everybody's got a gin. Everybody's got a gin and
everybody's got a booze.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, but I specifically want a gin.
Celebrity booze. They made I'm doing a rewatch of Always Sunny right now. They have a whole episode about celebrity branded booze.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's a good show. Jay.
Yes.
Before we get out of here, my award season expert, we're going to test your knowledge based on the movie we just reviewed, which was the Bling Ring. In a segment we like to call It's an Honor to Get Nominated. Jay, was this movie nominated for any Academy Awards?
Trying to think if it maybe could have gotten like a costume, but I don't think so. I'm going to say no awards.
Final answer?
Final answer.
That's correct.
Yes.
Maybe not yes for Nicole. But this did win a big prize for Jay at the Cannes Film Festival.
Ooh.
This was the 2013 winner of the Palm Dog.
Oh.
For a pampered pack of hounds. Jay, this won Best Dog at the Cannes Film Festival.
For what? Paris Hilton's dog?
Yeah, I think so.
Or the
Uh,
dogs that Nikki's family have.
yeah.
Don't they
That's
have
weak.
dogs?
That's weak.
It's not like it's no Messi.
No.
Messi won, I think, last
Not
year.
No,
every year
Chaplin.
has a Messi.
Chaplin was my pick for was that
Chaplin.
his name? The one from Fallen Leaves?
Mm.
Oh, Brandy won from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I remember that. The dog.
Charlie from A Star is Born, all-time movie dog.
Well, yeah, he's just right there while Bradley Cooper's hanging around.
Yeah. One of the
If you know
saddest
what I'm saying.
Listen.
one of the saddest frames in a movie.
Listen, I'm over movie
Why does it make
dogs.
me laugh every time I think of that?
I'm only interested in movie donkeys from here on out.
Oh man, oh not Jenny.
Jenny,
Oh man.
my beloved.
I remember showing Megan that movie. She says, if anything happens to Jenny,
Yeah.
I'm done with you.
Let me tell you,
Well,
folks, something
yeah.
happens to Jenny.
Yeah. And then it happened. She went, son of a bitch. So that's why she has refused to watch Anatomy of a Fall. She knows what I told her what happened to Messi. And she's like, I'm not watching.
We're talking
not watching
about
that.
Ginny the Donkey to give y'all a perfect segue into your next episode.
That's true. But we're not done yet because I got to ask Jay and you,
yeah.
Nicole.
No,
Oh,
the
God.
answer is no.
You don't know what I'm going to ask.
What's the question?
Please ask the question.
Would you nominate the Bling Ring for any
No.
Oscars? Do you know what year Do you know what year this is, Jay?
2013, right?
Yeah, it's the movies of 2013. The
2014
ceremony.
awards.
Yeah, ceremony.
I think this was a pretty bad year, wasn't it?
This is 12 Years a Slave,
Okay.
winning Best Picture. You got American Hustle, Captain Phillips, Dallas Buyers Club, Gravity, Her, Nebraska, Philomena, and The Wolf of Wall Street.
I don't think I like this movie more than any of those.
Okay, Nicole, would you slide those in the Best Picture?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I would kick out Captain Phillips.
Man, who's the captain now? It's Nicole.
Emma Watson is.
Yeah,
Emma Watson is the captain. I also would, in a heartbeat, take the Invisible Woman out of costume design and put this in.
What's the Invisible Woman?
That's the movie about Charles Dickens' affair.
Holy shit.
We all remember that one.
I totally forgot about the Ralph Fiennes movie.
Yep. And Felicity Jones, I think it is. Listen, I only know because I worked at the Dickens house in London.
What the hell is wrong?
Sounds good.
Man, I completely...
It's not a bad movie.
I just completely forgot this movie fucking existed. Like, holy shit.
Kristen Scott Thomas.
Yeah, it's a...
I said mean stuff about her on a podcast
Tom Hollander
too.
Yeah, you went pretty hard on her for English Patient, huh?
Yeah, I need to stop.
You need to stop being so mean to Kristen Scott Thomas.
And Emma.
Damn.
She's a good actress, Kristen Scott Thomas.
Yeah, she's all right.
I
like her.
I wouldn't say she's like
yeah.
top tier, but she's.
It's the costumes in it aren't bad. They're like fine, and I think the costumes in the Bling Ring are great.
Jay, you know what was nominated for costume design this year that you would love?
Norbit.
No, jeez, that's not even like the right decade. The Grandmaster.
Yeah, haven't seen it, but yeah.
Did you not watch that one for the?
No, not for Wong Kar-wai.
No.
I need to see it.
It's a good movie. That was the year that Gatsby won costume design.
Oh, Gatsby.
And all-time
what
win,
Gatsby?
if you ask me.
Yeah, that's a really
Gatsby.
Good one.
Gatsby also should have won best song that year, but they didn't even nominate it.
Oh, is that the Lana Del Rey song?
Nope. Young and Beautiful.
There's no way it was being let it go though.
There's a 45-minute conversation I need to have about the Lana Del Rey phenomenon at some point.
The thing is though, I would pull up at least 3 of these songs nominated here to put it in.
Wait a minute, Nicole.
Ryan, this is not a hate on Lana Del Rey thing. It just seems like she is one of the biggest music artists in the world. I don't know anybody that listens to her music.
Oh,
not a soul.
Hands up. I listen to Lana Del Rey.
I know people who listen to Lana
I
Del
don't.
Rey.
It's just weird. It's like I'm on my own little island over here. I'm
I
like,
always feel bad for Lana Del Rey. She had a rough couple months the last couple months.
Mhm.
She got she lost all those Grammys to her quote unquote best friend. Her best friend dragged her up on the stage during her.
Yeah,
That was
that's
a little rough.
cringy.
That was very cringy. And then she goes to the Chiefs game with Taylor, and she like gets like punched in the face accidentally or something like that.
Yep.
I was like,
Yep.
if I was her, I'd stay the fuck away from these people for a long time.
yeah, she's
Honestly,
got that one song about video games.
Oh, who doesn't love? Yeah, it's about the PS5. Do you think she's a PS5 or an Xbox?
She's a Switch.
I was gonna say
probably
she's
got
a Switch.
Wii.
She's a
She's
Switch.
still using her Wii.
Yeah, she's got a Wii. She's doing Wii
She's
Sports.
got a GameCube.
Yeah, she's got original Nintendo. She's pulling that thing out,
No, I was about to say she's got the original Nintendo because she loves the vintage aesthetic.
and
So
she's like
got,
taking out the cartridge, like the
Yep.
the game, and she's got to blow into it. You know what I mean? Oh God,
Listen,
You
I
had to
grew
bang
up
on
playing
it a
my
couple
dad's
times?
original Nintendo, and I had Duck Hunt with the guns that you plugged into it.
I had
Oh,
like
classic.
I had the duck hunt. I had like you could play like the game where like you like I guess it's the dance, and then you had like the yeah.
Yeah.
Nostalgia. Yeah, I would nominate this for pretty much anything, sadly. Which is usually a shame because I usually consider like a movie maybe. I mean like I wouldn't consider it for cinematography. Maybe the
I
costumes.
don't know.
but,
Give it costumes, I guess. I don't know. Who cares?
I mean, okay. You know what? I'll take out costumes because I don't even know what the hell the Invisible Woman is, and that's just me. That's just me.
That's
and
the
here's the
Fantastic
thing.
Four prequel.
Well, there you go. It's
It's very basic period costuming.
that's what I kind of
it's not
figured.
bad, but
No, but like honestly, like
fine.
usually, I would say I know movies. Not to brag. And I could, if you asked me, Ryan, what is the Invisible Woman? I would have been like, they made a sequel to the Elizabeth Moss
and it's got some
Invisible
big
Man
names
movie.
in it too.
Yeah,
It's
this
not
and and I like
it's not
Ray
like a nothing
Fiennes.
movie.
And I mean, this Ray Fiennes, Felicity Jones, Kristen Scott Thomas, and Tom Hollander.
And directed by Ray Fiennes. too.
Yeah, I love Ray Fiennes. Tom Burke's in it.
Directed by Fiennes.
Written by Abby Morgan, who
Remember when Joseph Fiennes was going to
did
play
things
Michael Jackson?
like the Iron Lady.
Jay, we're not doing that one. We're not talking about
That was
that.
wild.
That almost released. Well, they filmed it and everything.
It's done. We
It's
need
done.
To,
It's sitting
I
there.
want a double feature of
sitting
that
somewhere.
and the day the clown cried.
Which
I
was
want
the
that double feature.
What's the day the clown cried?
What is it? The Jerry Lewis like Holocaust comedy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Have you ever read about that?
No, apparently it's supposed to be available soon.
Yeah, and I've heard it's also like get ready for the most terrifying thing you're ever going to watch in your life because like I've heard it's really like rough. Yeah,
I'm excited.
I feel like you might as well just like round it out with the programming and like bribe the mouse to give you Song of the South or something.
I mean, I know that they did the Clarina Longworth did her stupid podcast about Song of the South and everything, but it also just didn't make any sense to do it because it's like, well, nobody can watch
it
and understands what the fuck you're talking about, lady. Like
Going to Disney World this fall.
Yeah. You are. You going on that ride?
Well,
oh my
it's gone.
God, Tiana's. What is it?
Yeah. Well, now,
Tiana's
it's now
something.
the Princess and the Frog.
It's there.
It's
Like
been reskinned.
Yeah.
Oh, so
I'm
like
excited.
it used to be the Song of the South. Right now, it's Tiana's.
Yeah.
Like they repurposed it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's going to be the same ride track and everything, but
Yeah.
I'm hoping that means they're going to put some beignets on a cart right by there.
Ooh.
Mm.
Because
Down
Disneyland
on-
has beignets and Disney World does not right now. So
Disney
Down
World's got
on
the
the bayou.
Oh, don't do
going
it.
down to Bayou.
I
Gotta
tell
go
you,
down to the bayou.
Disney World has the best place I've ever taken a nap in my life, and it's
The Hall of Presidents?
It's the Hall of Presidents.
Yeah.
I will never
You
go to
know-
Hall. I'll never go to the Hall of Presidents now, and I think
Now,
we all
right.
know why.
Well,
wanna-
if you're looking for a good napping spot in Epcot in the American Pavilion, they have a show about America.
Oh,
And that is an excellent napping spot because the AC is really good.
there you go. See,
Yeah.
are you going to
I know where to
Avatar?
nap.
Are you going to Avatar Land, Jay?
I don't know what the plan is yet. We're going in like October.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
We're
Are you
going
taking-
for like
Pandora's, like, the
two
coolest thing
days
ever.
at the park, and then we're going on a Disney cruise.
Oh my
The
God.
grandparents were blowing it out. They were like, "We gotta do it up."
That sounds
I have
horrible.
heard that if you call room service, you can get Mickey ice cream bars at any time of night.
Oh,
So,
that's
or
sick.
day. So
Yeah, Ryan, Disney Cruise is
advantage of
actually
that.
very impressive. They do a great job.
Really?
We're
I've
looking
heard the
forward to
food's
it.
great.
Yeah,
Are the
Disney,
Star Wars fans there with the discourse? Like,
No.
I hope so.
Sure.
I'm
I
I'm
think-
trying to
I
get
think
in
it's
some
just
Star Wars
Mickey and
debates.
Minnie.
God, I hope so. All right. Well,
They
Nicole,
got great shows too. I've
Nicole
heard.
Ackman.
So, yes.
Thank you so much for coming on this wonderfully chaotic episode of Director Watch.
Thank
That
you
We
for
Always Do.
discussing meatball subs with me.
You know what? You know what? On your way out, can you tell everybody where they can find you and all your work? And what is your favorite sandwich?
Ooh,
Wow,
okay.
hot dog.
Taco.
Oh, taco. All right.
Depending on how you're holding it.
How you're
No.
holding? Yeah. Burrito. Is burrito no? We're not
No.
going down that. Just
But you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd at Nicole Ackman 16. And I'm afraid of saying this is my favorite sandwich because I'll probably change my mind. But lately, I've been very into a BLT.
Oh, that's the American classic right there.
It is.
It's
good.
really you can't go wrong with a BLT. You can't.
Yeah.
How do you like it? Do you like a good ratio of like them being all third, or do you like a little bit more B
I
and
like
a little bit more L than the T?
I'm a tomato girl.
Okay.
I love a tomato.
Salt and pepper
will
on the
say,
tomato.
Always. I
Okay.
will say I do need the bacon to be crispy.
Yeah.
If the bacon is chewy on my BLT, I'm out.
Yeah.
Best thing is I get a BLT and a cup of tomato soup and dip the BLT in the tomato
Ooh.
soup.
That's good.
Overload on the tomatoes, but it's worth it.
So I guess you don't put a mayonnaise on it. Do you put
If
anything
I'm
on it
out
with it?
somewhere and they put like a little thin layer of mayonnaise, I'm like, I can live with that. I just
Okay.
can't get the mayonnaise texture.
I get you. All right. Texture.
A
Person.
garlic aioli. Is
I was
my,
going
like,
to say an
preferred,
aioli
though.
might. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay, where can we find all you and all your fabulous work on the internet? And then Jay, I know you got your recommendation, but I also want to know your favorite sandwich too.
Yeah, so you can find me Letterboxd, J Ledbetter, Twitter at Mr. J Ledbetter, anything I'm doing over at awardswatch.com. Favorite sandwich. So I got a specific one here. So
Oh, here we. I love it when
Okay.
Jay. Yeah, here we go.
you know these you ever had those you get like the Hawaiian rolls, like little Hawaiian
Oh,
roll
yeah.
sliders?
I know what you're talking about. buddy.
Yeah, and then you get like the ham and Swiss on there, put a little
Yeah.
Worcestershire on top, some
You're
Like-
talking.
like a stone
you
mustard, maybe.
coat them with some butter and some Worcestershire on top. Get some sesame seeds on top there. It's an elite sandwich, and my father-in-law makes a mean ham and Swiss slider.
You can't
so
just have one of those. You got to have like
Dang.
4.
I am telling you that I have a second stomach for those sandwiches.
Yeah.
those little mini Sammies. They're small enough where you're like, just one more, just one more.
That's me with
Just one
Hawaiian
more.
rolls in general. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no, I've eaten the whole pack.
Yeah. As for movie recommendation,
of the week. Yeah.
Ryan, you ever seen the movie 3 O'clock High?
You know, I haven't, but I think you're going to explain to me a movie that I need to put on my watch list. Then.
Yeah, it's good. So this is a movie that I only heard about because Quentin Tarantino cited it as one of his favorite 80s comedies. And I was like, that's interesting. I'll see what people think about it. And then, enough people liked it on my letterbox that I was like, oh, I'll give this a whirl.
Mm-hmm.
The way that I would describe it is it's like high school after hours. That is what I thought of the movie. It is about this high schooler who there's a new bully in the school that day who challenges him to a fight at 3 p.m. And it's basically about him trying to figure out a way to get out of the fight. And it gets like increasingly fantastical and kind of bizarre at certain times. And it has like some genuinely good, kind of decent action. And it's got some good character actors. You know who it's got? Philip Baker Hall.
Oh,
So watch out. Fully canceled actor Jeffrey Tambor is in there.
yep.
but other than that, like the kid cast is not very notable. But it's a funny movie. It's a charming movie. I had a great time with it. So check out 3 O'Clock High.
Okay.
A genuine, like, you might not have heard of that movie recommendation this week.
All right. Okay.
Nice.
You can find all my work at awardswatch.com, Letterboxd, Instagram, Twitter at Ryan McQuade 77. If you like this show, go listen to the main show. It's every Monday on the same feed. 5 stars on iTunes and Spotify. We only want 5 stars. All that 4 stars and lower business, we don't want that. 5 stars, please. Over on the website, you can sign up for the Awards Watch newsletter. You can get stuff sent to you twice a week. Eric puts that together. It's the perfect way to get all the reviews, interviews, and podcasts and everything in between sent to you, so you are up to date on all things Awards Watch. Favorite sandwich? It's kind of tough. I love a sandwich. There is nothing more than I mean, there's like 2 sandwiches that I could go with. They're
Yeah, I
really
had
both,
a second one.
there's both comfort. I mean, like the basic standard is the best like sandwich maybe that we could all answer this is a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, because like this the most
You
simple
love a
choices
PBJ.
with a
Are
you
you
know
are you like a crunchy peanut butter or a creamy peanut butter person?
I like smooth, and I'm controversial on the jelly.
Oh,
Everyone usually says grape or strawberry. I go peach. Yeah, you wouldn't think it.
That's vulgar.
I didn't know you could put that on a peanut butter sandwich.
Try it. It's divine.
All right.
It's a thing down here in South Texas. There's a lot of peach stuff
Look,
going on
I
here.
love peach like jelly on my toast. So
Yeah.
You know, I'd also love a good peanut butter banana.
Ooh,
oh,
yeah.
that's my fave.
That's really good. But there is there's something that like I know this is another basic pick, but this is like if I crave something, there is a place down the road from my house, and they make the best Reuben sandwich on the planet.
Oh, I don't like corned
Love
beef.
a Reuben.
And I don't do corned beef. I do pastrami, and it's grilled, and then the bread is freshly made, and they caramelize both onions and the sauerkraut, melt the Swiss cheese. There's like a spicy mustard in there.
Nice.
I've gone to New York. I've had those. They're fantastic there. Don't get me wrong. But there's just something special about the way that they do it up at this place down the road from my house. And and they serve it with like tortilla chips with like a chipotle mango salsa on the side. And it's really good shit.
Okay.
And so movie recommendation of the week. You know, Jay and Nicole, I there was one thing from last year that I didn't catch up on. And I'm so happy that the people at Netflix turned it into an anthology. I didn't get to watch any of the Wes Anderson shorts.
Oh.
And
I actually haven't watched any of them either.
And so I was kind of putting them off, like waiting for them all to come out. And then I just never got back around. And I was like, well, maybe they'll do an anthology and put them all together. And they did. And it's like 88 minutes. And it's the wonderful story of Henry Sugar, and 3 more is what it's called. But then, that's got The Swan, The Ratcatcher, and Poison. And obviously, this is what Wes Anderson just won his Oscar for.
Shout out to him for not even showing up. A true king.
Him and Miyazaki, true kings. And Henry Sugar, the one he won for, is actually probably like the lesser of all the 4. I loved Swan is probably the best, and then I'd go Poison, Ratcatcher, and then Henry Sugar. But I love them all nonetheless. I think that I know it's real basic to say this, but God damn it, I love Wes Anderson, and I think his era that he's going in right now has been like some really fascinating stuff. I really loved Asteroid City last year. I really enjoyed a lot of these. I know he's making his next one with like Michael Cera already, and Benicio, I believe, too. So I'm just in the bag for this guy. He makes anything right now, I'm kind of all in. But yeah, the wonderful story of Henry Sugar and the other three. That's on Netflix.
Thank
You can go
you.
catch it right now.
Thank you for reminding me that the other three are there now because I watched Henry Sugar and I actually really liked it. Asteroid City was in my top 5 last year.
Yeah, it's a really good fucking
Really
movie.
good movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I need to go back and watch those. So thank you for reminding me.
And I know Jay wasn't as high on French Dispatch as I am, but I don't know. Like, guy's not missing a lot right now. I kind of like his sort of. He's going off the beaten path. He's doing
He
his.
doesn't miss.
No, even
when like I also wasn't crazy about French Dispatch, but I still found it really interesting. So
Yeah.
like that's the thing about him. You're never going to be,
there's
No.
you
have
may
to
not like
appreciate
the whole experience of French Dispatch like I
Mhm.
do, but you can't deny that there are sections to that movie
That's
that
my
are
thing is
fantastic.
I have a section I like best, and I wish the whole film was
Yeah.
Which one's your
that
favorite?
story. I like the French like student rebellion.
Oh, you
story
like the
with-
Chalamet
that's my
one.
least favorite one.
That's
Yeah, I
Jay's
don't
least
like that
favorite
one.
one. My favorite's
Yeah.
I like the Benicio.
That's my least favorite.
And you know what's funny? My favorite is the Jeffrey Wright.
Well, there we go.
It's like
Now
Yeah,
we
there
see
you
why
go.
he did all 3.
yeah, we got them all in there. And then there's the Owen Wilson
My
one.
favorite
That's
is
like
the
20
Owen
seconds.
Wilson one that lasts 35 seconds.
My biggest complaint for that film, I needed more Owen Wilson on that bike.
I mean,
Wow.
we need more. Oh, wow.
Wow.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Director Watch. We'll be back next week. We will be talking The Beguiled. So stay tuned, and thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you all next time.